Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Sunny, aka Papa React. What's good? Welcome back to Let's Code with Me the right way with AI, episode 9. I'm going to stop using the word vibe code because it just carries a negative notation. We're going to teach you on this channel how to code correctly with AI as a real engineer would. So go ahead, smash that like button. We've got a huge build today. Already, check out the chat. The chat is what powers me up every single time. You guys are absolutely awesome. Go check out the chat right now. And without further ado, guys, welcome to the Groceries Shopping Platform. An entire app, backend, front end, admin panel, the entire lot with no preparation. I'm going to show you how you can do it yourself as well. So let's go ahead and dive into our designs in 3, 2, 1. Check it out, guys. And also drop where you're watching from right now in the chat down below. Let's get into this. Hey, so here we have our first set of designs. Now I have to be careful with these designs. I'll be honest. I had an issue last time, right? Where I don't know, one of the designs had like some president thing and it kind of screwed me up. So we're not going to talk about any of that stuff today. But here we can see we've got a grocery web app, right? So in this case, I'm on Dribbble. Dribbble is an awesome design website. And this is what I tend to basically like to use when I'm getting some inspiration. When I want to start something, I don't want to start from scratch. I kind of want to get my designs, kind of given to me a little bit early on so I kind of have a starting point. Also, welcome to everyone in the chat. We've got UK, Haiti, USA. What's good, guys? Welcome to the chat. I see some OGs in the house as well. It's great to have you guys back. All right, so we're going to dive straight into this one now. So this app needs to consist of a couple of things right now. Besides the, the normal go-to things, I've actually done a little list right here. We're going to have things like the shopping cart, the favorites, product detail page, payments, checkout flow, orders, inventory management, membership. That includes like payments in the membership side of things, but also some more fun things like an AI recipe generator, AI suggestions. So widgets, perhaps when you're typing to an AI, but again, this is all unplanned, so you guys can literally drop in the chat features you want to see and we'll build them right now and I'll show you how we can do it. And we're also going to have things like browse by category. So these are the kind of basic things that we expect in a shopping app. We're going to build the entire thing today, okay? Then we're going to have the client app. This is going to be the app that the users are going to log into, use, basically ordering their shopping. Then we're going to have the admin dashboard, which allows inventory management. So everything is going to go ahead and be covered with this, right? So this is all going to be pretty much part of what we're doing today. And if you're new to this series, what we effectively do is we basically are now starting from scratch. So typically I would have planned something beforehand. Now I literally put myself in the fire zone and we basically go ahead and do it from scratch because I want to show you how you can do the same thing with AI, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to drop the music down so we can kind of lock into a flow state and then we can go ahead and begin things out. Now, this build is going to be powered by some incredible tech. Of course, we have our amazing friends over at Clerk. These guys are just awesome, guys. We don't have to worry about the authentication anymore. They handle everything for us. You guys know about them. I've used them a ton on the channel. Yes, I work with them. They're awesome, right? These guys are by far one of my favorite companies to ever work with. They're amazing, and I use them a ton, even in my own production apps. And just a second ago in the chat, you guys asked that I actually show you some behind the scenes of the app that we're building in Dubai. If you are interested, leave a comment down below and I'll definitely go ahead and consider making some content around that. Right? So not only are we going to be doing the admin with the authentication with this, we're also going to be actually doing perhaps the billing element fully with this as well. So we're going to have subscription billing. So imagine you can go ahead and upgrade to, for example, the Plus plan and get free delivery for the entire year. Something like that, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get those things set up. Whoa, look at the chat, it is popping off, guys. We've got Joshua from Uganda, he goes, you rock, I appreciate you so much. South Africa, Young Stallion. We've got Vibe Sama, Brandon Morris, Fonkiz, Varun, Tech Buzz. Yo, what is up, guys? OGs in the house. This is some sick chat today. You guys are getting my energy up, man. So Fonkiz says, brother, is this project gonna be available on your GitHub? So, genuine question. I don't know. I don't know if it's valuable giving the code anymore because we're kind of coding with AI on the spot. That's non-deterministic. It's not going to be the same outcome every time. I think it's more valuable that you actually follow along with the build, but if you guys want it, I'll give it to you. So we can, of course, jump into that, right? Now, we are going to jump into two other cool things. One is Clerk's CLI, okay? So Clerk released a brand new CLI, and this is really cool because now, from a CLI alone, we can actually go ahead and set everything up with Clerk. And they even done it with Stripe projects. So they paired up with Stripe projects, and now just by simply going ahead and running the Stripe project CLI, You can install the projects. You can go ahead and even add Clerk into it. And why is this so handy? Because before, that was a pain. That used to take quite a bit of time to go ahead and get right. All the environment variables, getting everything together. I just want to build the app and have fun with that part. I don't want to worry about these things. So we're going to offload that to Clerk and Stripe, and then that's going to be a real good time. So we can basically just jump ahead inside of the actual features of our app, okay? Now, of course, for the backend, we're going to be using Convex. So you guys have probably heard of Convex. We've used them a ton on the channel before, but that's going to be effectively what we're going to be using. And also, if you are wondering, throughout this build, I talk to the computer a lot. So you guys always ask the question, so I'm going to mention it beforehand. I use Super Whisper. We are not sponsored by them. He's just a friend of mine who emailed out. You can use Sunny25 to go ahead and get some money off of that. But that's effectively how I talk to the computer, in case you're wondering. Because I always get people ask that, and I'm like, you know what? I should probably include that in the beginning of the video, right? But the CLI is awesome. It handles the config, and very soon it will handle the entire deployment as well, okay? So let's dive into this a little bit more. As for our tech stack, we've got all of the latest and greatest. We've got Next.js 16, React 19, we've got Convex, we've got MCPs, and this is the main thing about this new series. I want to show you how you don't have to have lots of coding experience. You could be someone with zero coding experience right now and still watch this and build a groceries app. That's the world we live in today. The main difference between you and somebody who likes to produce something that we call AI slop is basically knowing what to engineer versus knowing what is good and what is bad. Like, there's a big difference. You don't get impressed by a website popping up, get impressed by what's going on under the hood, right? And understand what's actually happening here. So this is something that we're gonna go ahead and do right now, okay? So let me know as well if the stream is coming in all clearly. But otherwise, as for now, we're going to dive straight into things. So first thing I want you to do is go ahead, and we're actually going to use, every time I like to kind of use the Convex starter template, but the problem with that is sometimes it doesn't get updated. So we're actually going to use Next.js's starter. So create Next.js app. So create Next app, right? So it's actually just a simple CLI command from Next.js. And I'm going to show you everything on this channel from what we do from the beginning, because I often find that not enough is shown, right? So literally, the imperfections are not shown enough on YouTube, and you need to see, if I fail, you should know that, because it's going to happen to you, right? It will probably happen to you in some point, so it's going to help you out a lot. Funkis says, yes, brother, at least I'll benefit from this. I also want to build an e-commerce site, and if I get the source code, then I'll have a great baseline to start. Okay, cool. Maybe afterwards I can upload it, right? So in this case, PMPM, create next app. Now, I do recommend everyone switches to PMPM version 11 because of the recent hacks. And then there's also a setting where you can make it, wait a week before any new release. That's a very important thing. We love you from Turkey. You're the best. Hey, I appreciate you so much, guys. You guys are awesome, right? So we're going to go over to our terminal and get started. Now, I have a recursive search. I do Control-R, and then I like to type in PNPM, DLX, create next app, right? In this case, my last app I was building was that. So we're going to call this one... We had a few good names on the chat before for the actual build itself, but we need to go ahead and give this a name. For now, I'm going to call it Papa, I don't know. Okay, give me a name in the chat. And while we do that, I want you to do one thing. As I mentioned before, we do work with Clerk, and what helps us do this for free on the channel is going ahead and getting you guys to sign up to Clerk, because we use it anyway, right? We're going to use it. It's a bloody awesome platform. So what I want you guys to do is head over to the first link in the description, and we need to create our account for Clerk, right? Go to that link, guys. It allows me to do this. Honestly, you have no idea how much I love you guys for that, because it allows me to literally create these videos for absolutely free. So go to the first link in the description and then go to start building for free. You will log in, and then you'll go ahead, and I need you to go to your dashboard. Okay, you can do it from your dashboard, you can do it from the CLI, whatever you want, but I recommend going to the dashboard and just signing up, and then you'll get a prompt similar to this. You'll get a create application screen, and then you can go ahead and set up your first app. Now, we're gonna pause here because I'm actually gonna run you through the CLI today, okay? So we can see Sunny rocking in their merch too. Yeah, guys, they actually sent me some cool merch. I love the guys over at Clerk. Honestly, they sent me a really nice blanket as well. I was chilling the other day. So thank you guys over at the Clerk team. We've got Papa Mart, Fresh Lane. Papa Mart sounds good. Okay, Papa Mart, right? So we're going to build Papa Mart, right? So Papa Mart, okay, that's cool. I like that one, right? So PNPM, DLX, create next app, at latest Papa Mart. Okay, now, let me know if you want the music louder, all that good stuff. Now, in terms of the actual sort of settings, we're going to use the default. This actually, no. We're not going to use this one because it says no React compiler. We're going to say customize the settings. I'm going to show you TypeScript, ESLint or Biome. I actually do like Biome. It's a bit faster, it's a bit aggressive, but most of you will be using ESLint. So we're going to use ESLint for now. React compiler, yes. I don't know why they're defaulting to no, but we're going to use yes. Tailwind CSS, yes. No for the app directory, app router, yes. Alias, would you like to customize? No. Would you like an agents MD to guide coding it to write up to date Next.js code? Yes. Okay, there we have it, right? So that's pretty cool. So Vibe Summer goes, why are you not using the Convex command today? Because I believe, honestly, it's quite outdated. So that's why we're not going to do it. Now, you might run into this if you've set some permissions, like kind of aggressive permissions. So I didn't want to get hacked. So basically, I've set up some strict permissions, and you might run into something like this. So what I want you to do if this happens is you want to cd into the Papa Mart repo, or whatever you call it, and then we're going to do pm approve builds. And basically, I can say if I want to accept these. This is because I basically given a couple of strict rules, which will basically make sure that it asks me if I want to go ahead and do this. Now, do you approve? Yes, I'm going to go ahead and say I approve, and I'm going to get these built out, okay? Now, after that, I can do pm install, and you see we're all good. And I can do cursor dot. Now, listen to me, guys. There's no right or wrong here. You can use cursor, Claude, Codex, anti-gravity. I don't care. Use whatever you want. The principles I'm going to teach you are carrying across everything. Plugins, skills, MCPs, all of that stuff. So whatever you decide to use for AI side of things, you can feel free to do that. The reason why I like to show cursor is honestly because I get to show you more on-screen information, whether it be in the editor window or the new cursor 3 agents window, okay? So we're gonna actually, maybe we start in the agents window today, right? Maybe you guys let me know in the chat down below that we've got this as well. It's pretty cool, right? So guys, let me know, do we carry on here or do we go in the editor window? Maybe for the setup, I can show you the editor window so you guys can just get a feel for things. So let me open up Papa Mart and then we can go ahead and do this out, all right? So in this case, I'll show you this for now and then we can go ahead and jump into the other thing. So pm lock, we've got our package JSON. These are our dependencies for today's version. Then we're gonna go ahead and set up a couple of things. So first up, I wanna set up Clerk. Now I wanna show you the Clerk CLI. So go over to Clerk, you can just Google Clerk CLI, and then you can simply install the CLI like so, right? pm install -g Clerk, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I've got mine up to date. Let's go ahead and do that. And I need to actually run that again. Oh, I didn't do it. I don't think I've done mine as a global install. I always forget if I've used Homebrew or whatnot. I think last time I was pretty lazy and I just did npm for this, but let's go ahead and just make sure I've got it installed globally. Okay. So now we've got it installed globally. The next step is to go ahead and initialize it. So inside of our project, starting the repo, you already have. So before we actually do anything, you'll notice if I go to the source control tab, it says initialize repo, right? We can do it either by git init or we can just click initialize repo. You want to do that first, okay? Then I just want to commit everything beginning, so that way we can say initial commit. And I'm just going to go ahead and commit that for now. So we have a clean branch, right? That makes things a lot easier, a lot cleaner to go ahead and move with things. Now, once that's done, we're going to now do clerk init, okay? So clerk init. And please, like I said before, sign up first with the link, then go ahead and do what I'm doing right now, right? It allows us to go ahead and tell Clerk that you came from this video. And for that, I massively appreciate it. Clerk init. And then once that's done, you see it says detecting framework and it's already logged me in as a team account, right? So now in this case, select a Clerk application to link to, okay? Now I didn't actually create it. So we need to actually go back over to Clerk and I should have actually created it. So we're gonna go back to our dashboard and we're gonna call this one Papa Mart, okay? So firstly, you want to select your authentication methods. Today, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to do Google, but Clerk make it so easy. You just toggle these and you're good to go. It's actually pretty awesome. So you're going to go ahead and do that and then click on create application. Okay. So once that is done, and remember guys, all I ask as well is if you're enjoying this, you learn something new, let me know in the comments. I'm very receptive to what you guys feel and think on this channel. And I ask that all you need to do is subscribe if you haven't already and just like this video. Right, that's all I ask. Just like the video. I appreciate you all. Okay. So once we're here, we now have Papa Mart. So we can go back over to the terminal and we're going to run Clerk init again. Right now, here we have Papa Mart pop up. We're going to click on OK. And then it will say detected Next.js. And now what you'll see is, look, it will install Clerk into our repo. Okay. And you can see in ignored build scripts, run pm improve. I need to do that. And then it says, okay, we need to go ahead and make the following changes. Proceed, yes, we're going to do that. And then install the agent skills as well. We're going to say yes, okay? And then pm DLX, yes, we're going to do that. And now for this, it starts up the skills installer. So you can see it's installing the Clerk CLI skill. So we're going to make sure that we've got everything enabled. Obviously, select whichever CLI you're using. In this case, I'm pretty good to go. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do into the project, not globally, into the project, right? Then proceed with installation, done. And then the second one will pop up. And this one is actually for all of the Clerk skills. And we have 20, which is pretty awesome, right? So I'm going to go ahead and install those as well into the project. And I love this because just by setting things up, we already get all of the perfect things that we would have needed, right? We get all the Clerk skills set up and everything. And our agents now have Clerk context in this project. Perfect. That's amazing, okay? So we also can see proxy.ts was set up. That's great. If we go to our app and layout, you'll also see it also wrapped our app with the Clerk provider. So this is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted, right? Once that's done, I want to teach you some good habits. Now we can go ahead and, commit ourselves, or we can go ahead and get AI to commit for us. It's down to you guys in terms of what preference you do, right? So if you want to get AI to commit, you could, for example, do Command I, right? And then you can actually tell AI to go ahead and commit. Composer 2.5 is actually very good for this as well. Son of Code, appreciate you. You're never too late, my bro, right? In this case, we're going to say commit Clerk changes, okay? Now, in this case, you'll see how fast Composer 2.5 is, by the way. It's very, very nice. And to be honest with you, I'm using it more than I thought I would. Mainly, especially when I need to discover things inside of my app. Like if I've got a huge app, especially a production one that I'm working on right now, it's very, very fast. Like it's blazingly fast, like way faster than Opus or GPT-5.5. And that has been pretty cool, right? So it actually fixed an invalid placeholder, set this to true or false. And one thing that we didn't do is actually go ahead and we need to make sure we do one thing before this is PM approve. Remember that step? So we need to do PM approve. And I think it was builds, but let me just double check. So was it PM approve? It was up here. We had a, you have PM approve builds to pick which dependency you should build. Okay, so in this case, look, Clerk shared. So you won't actually get this thing pop up. In this case, I've really made it paranoid, so it basically doesn't just go and install anything. If you want to know about that, then of course, let me know and I can make a video on that. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and continue on. And now I can say commit changes. Okay. Now, while this is happening, what I also want to do is, actually, let's let this happen first and then I can kind of run you through the next thing. Okay. And why do I like this sometimes? Because sometimes we're lazy. We don't like to come up with git commit messages that are really big and kind of, insightful. And I feel that this does a really good job. Like, honestly, like sometimes I find that I have some amazing things and I end up having to go back and look at my code. And in this case, it's done it twice, add Clerk authentication, and then the agent skills, it committed them separately. So look, 7 files here, 54 files to add in the agent skills. And this is really nice. Like I didn't have to write those and they committed them for me, right? So things like that I find really helpful, okay? So now that that's done, another little tip I'd recommend, go to cursor, go to settings, go to cursor settings, and then I want you to go over to plugins, and here you've got a bunch of plugins. Now, for now, we're gonna switch to the, actually no, we're not gonna do that yet. When you're setting up, I like to be in this view. Settings, cursor settings, and then we're gonna go to, not the plan, we're gonna go to our plugins, okay? And here you can install 2 things. One is the Convex one if you want. I always have that installed. And another one is the Clerk one. But again, we installed a couple of those skills already. Remember, 20 skills, okay? So you can do this as well. A really helpful one that I found has actually improved my code quality a huge amount. Context 7, very good for fetching up-to-date information. Linear, very good if you know what you're doing and stuff like that. But also, Compound engineering was a good one, but superpowers. This is amazing for code reviews. So I always get my agents to code review themselves, and it's been pretty awesome for that. Okay, so this one's been really, really good as well. So just a little kind of insight as to how I work. That's one of the main hacks that I'm doing at the moment. Well, not hacks, but it's basically just a little tip. Okay, if you guys find those things useful, let me know down in the comments and I'll keep on making sure to go ahead and tell you about those. And remember, everything today is going to be heavy on the AI side. So if you do want to know how does Sunny work and how does he handle his business with AI, all of that good stuff, we have an awesome new community with over 3,000 people on the wait list right now. So go ahead and be sure to sign up. We're releasing the numbers in batches. So if you're inside this wait list, we're randomly selecting as well as the first 100, 200 people we're going to let in because they're just OGs for doing that. But go ahead and sign up. The link is in the description to join our community. I will love to see you inside, right? This will be where I basically share all my secrets as to how I can basically run an entire business and a second business now as well, using AI agents and everything that I do. All are going to be inside of here, including coding. Okay. Yo, what is good, Marius? He goes, yo, Papa fam, it's been so long since I was here. Sonny, what you do lately is super inspirational for me, and I guess for each one of us. Keep on going, man. You rock as always, man. And he loves Jay. Hey, I'm going to screenshot that, dude. Jay's actually on holiday right now. So he's actually not able to, probably he's just enjoying himself in the sun, but I appreciate you guys, Marius. I literally just sent your message to him as well. OG in the house, and he was a huge member of our previous community, which is still active, by the way. So in case you're wondering, right? Now, next step is we need a backend for our app, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and now add in Convex. So developers, documentation, and then we're gonna go over to here, and you can see, look, built for AI coding agents. This is kind of cool now, because this is kind of like, you know, we can just use these commands instead of doing it from scratch. Now, you could install all of these things, okay? This is one way of doing it, but I'm going to show you another way. We're going to go to Next.js, and instead we can either do it. Okay, I don't know. Do you guys tell me? Do you want me to show you this way, or do you want me to show you this way? Right? Like, honestly, we can do it in the cursor way as well. So like cursor rules, convex cursor rules, we could do it that way as well. Really, really tricky. I mean, yeah, I don't know how I want to kind of teach this moving forward, but I want to know your preference here. Like, do you guys have a preference, or should I just show you how to set it up ourselves? Right? If we were to click on quick install, you can basically just click on this add to a cursor button. If we do this, by the way, I'll show you it right now. Click on open cursor, and you see it installs an MCP server, right? So in this case, Convex, MCP, let's install it. And we have Convex over here, right? Perfect. So we've got a couple here that I actually am not using right now. So for example, we're not using these right now. We can get rid of this for now. Git Kraken, we don't actually need right now. Expo for this build, we don't need. Magic UI designs, we do not need. So we only need the Convex. GitHub, let's keep on for now, okay? So in that case, do it the simple way. Okay, yeah, we could do it the simple way, then that's just better, right? So in this case, let's go ahead and do it the predictable way. Next.js, npm create to get up to, that's actually the old one we used to do, but we're going to install it here. So install the Convex library and server library, okay? So we're going to go ahead and copy this command, and I'm going to use pnpm install Convex, okay? So over here, let's close this out, Command J, and we're going to go ahead and do pnpm install Convex, okay? That's going to install Convex into our project. And now you can see we have, and again, I need to do this every time. I'm probably a bit annoying. You don't have to do this again. I'm going to just continue to do this just for today. But I will fix that, right? It's kind of my own little thing I'm paranoid with. In this case, that installed Convex. Now, once that's done, we can run npx or pnpx or pn. I think you can do pnpx convex dev now, I believe. Right, so pnpm convex pnpx convex dev, and you can see choose which packages to build. Yes, go ahead and get past that part, and now this will go ahead and run Convex. Right now, in this case, I've already got a Convex account, so I've already logged into my account. But for you guys, you can go ahead and create a new project, or it would ask you to log in. But in this case, we're going to create a new project. Should have a big enough, quota for this. We're going to call it Papa Mart. Cloud deployment is absolutely fine. And I'm going to make this as bigger. Sorry, guys, I made it small. Set up Convex AI files. Yes, we want to do this. And I love this lately. The CLIs are basically doing this first. Very, very nice. Very, very clean. Okay. So finalizing the push. And then we have Convex functions ready. Okay. So this is great. This is now working. We are now basically getting Convex to run. Okay. So what I want you to do now is once that's done, basically we have two things that we need to run for our app to run. We have the front end, which is our Next.js app. That's going to be Papa Mart. Then we have Convex, which is essentially our backend, right? And that's going to be the database as well as cloud functions and so forth. And you see it, we have it here, Convex, right? So what I want you to do now is basically go ahead and you can split the terminal. You can do this in a couple of ways, but we're going to go ahead and keep it a split terminal for now. And we're going to do on the left side, we're going to do pnpm dev or npm run dev if you're using npm. And that will spin up your app. And you can see it naturally spins up a browser tab. And if you've done it all correctly, then you should go ahead and see the following. Sign into Papa Mart, okay? Now, that's fine. But I also want to see, did we have our Clerk environment variables added? We did, right? So that was a beautiful thing about having the CLI do it for us. You see, I didn't have to add any of my environment variables. Plus, it set up custom sign in and sign up pages. That's very, very cool. I'm just going to neaten these up by making everything next to each other. And that's kind of cleaner. So that's much, much better, right? And then we can just go ahead and say convex. There we go. Now, again, these are secret keys. So you should not be exposing your secret keys. I'm going to invalidate these afterwards, full disclosure, okay? But you should not do that. The only reason I show it is because it's easier to teach you guys, okay? So environment variable, I didn't have to set that up. It did it on its own by the Clerk CLI. Very nice. Now, once we have this set up, that's good. We also need to run our backend. So our front end is on the left. How do we run the backend, right? Well, we can do we can do, let's actually make it easier for ourselves. We can go to package.json and you can see here, we have Next.dev. That's for our dev, right? Now, to run the backend, we could do something like this. We could say convex dev, and then we can actually say pm backend. And what this will do is it just runs convex dev behind the scenes, right? So that's something which makes things easier. You could even have both, and then it would basically run on both, but that's a nice little trick in case you want to keep it simple, okay? Now, everyone's asking about Medusa, saying for the e-commerce backend. What do you think about that? Is it worth using such e-commerce? So I was interested in it, but until the landing page said up to date with Next.js 14, right? That was a red flag for me because it was Next.js 14, right? That's a long time ago. Things have changed a lot since 16. So I'm not sure, I'll be honest. I haven't used Medusa myself, but feel free to let me know if you've tried it out, your thoughts on it, and maybe we can play around with it in a future build. So in this case, we have our Convex functions, our app up and running. And then what I like to do, guys, is keep things very, very simple. We're going to have another browser up and running next to things over here. So let's go ahead and just throw this over here. And I'm going to go ahead and move this. Let me go ahead and make things a bit easier over there. Okay, so I'm going to go to localhost. And actually, I'm going to have a separate profile. Yep, localhost 3000. And we should see our login page. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually close this for now. And we're going to continue with Google. And you see sign into Papa Mart. Everything was set up for me, right? sunny.sanga@gmail.com. Now, we haven't got the entire setup done yet. I just kind of jumped over the Convex part. But you see here, npm convex dev. So we've got it running, but we need to wrap it inside of a client component for everything to work. Now, before we do this step, I want to actually take you over to the integration because we're doing Convex and Clerk. What you want to do is type in Convex Clerk and just type in Convex Clerk integration on Google, right? You'll see in the first link, Clerk will pop up. And now they have a really nice guide for integrating Clerk with Convex. Now, why would you want to do that as opposed to not do that effectively, right? By doing this, what you effectively are doing is your authentication now is connected on a first class level with your backend. Why is that handy? Because Convex can run things like cloud functions. When we run our cloud functions, we should be able to know, okay, who is the user that is logged in right now? And we can make that a lot easier by setting up this integration, right? Because that way our auth provider, Clerk, is now in sync with our backend provider, Convex. And that becomes really handy when we're doing some backend checks, okay? So set up Clerk as a Convex auth provider. In the Clerk dashboard, navigate to the Convex integration setup. Okay. Now we go over to here and you can see I'm actually already logged in. We can see Papa Mart and then development. And I'm going to go ahead and click on activate Convex integration. Now at that point it says enabled and we have a Clerk frontend API URL. I'm going to copy this, keep that for a second. Okay. We can use skills to set this up. I just want to show you guys how simple it is to go ahead and, really kind of run with this. But you could literally just copy this link, give it to AI. It will do it for you. I'm going to show the setup part because I think it's really important that we all get this right. Now, once that's done, what I want you to do is go ahead and head over. So you see with that link we copied, we can go to sessions and actually add in additional claims. So that could be things like, the user's role or whatever it might be you want to add in. You can do that if you want, but we actually need to go to Convex now to really get this wired up. So I want you to go over to Convex. And what we want to do is actually first, and this is the easiest way to do it, right? In the Convex folder, so over here, I want you to create a new file called auth.config.ts, okay? Then I want you to copy this and simply throw it in, okay? So we're going to copy that and throw it in. And then I want to say if there is no, if there is no Clerk, front end, throw an error, okay? Something like this. Oh, process start, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Right, if there's no Clerk front-end API URL for an error, right? Now, at that moment, you're going to get a error message inside of your backend terminal. I like this because it's a lazy way of doing it. Now you get a link. You can click this link, open up your browser, and you'll see a login screen, which of course, once you've logged into your account, I'm actually done this in 2 separate places, but we can log in here. That's fine. right? I'm just going to make sure I don't expose something. I'm going to go to logging into my team account right now by Google. And then once this is done, oh no, it was actually a different account. Give me 1 second, guys. That's why I didn't want to show you, because there was a sensitive project. I don't want to show that one. So I'm going to go to continue with Google, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my personal, I think it was. So once we're logged in with this, I'll share the screen again, and then we can carry on, right? So Papa Mart, yeah, here we are. Okay, so here we are at Papa Mart, and then this is your Convex panel, okay? Now, oh, they have a minor service outage at the moment. Oh, hopefully that doesn't affect us, but we can see we've provided 100% of the code. Okay, so we should be okay, but they have an outage. Of course, when I'm live, there's an outage, but I'm gonna show you how we can proceed anyway, right? So in this case, we need to go to that link again. So if you click on this now, so this one here, and click on open, and I'm gonna open it in this screen. And what you do is it will take you to the settings, environment variables, and it will pre-fill the key for the environment variable. Now you're probably wondering, but Sunny, shouldn't you be adding the environment variable in that one, the environment in our code? Well, no, it's actually the backend. So our Convex, think of our Convex as like a cloud backend, right? It's kind of up in the cloud, running in the back. We need to set environment variables there because that's going to have cloud functions that will run. So we need to set the environment variable there. Okay, so once that's done, what we actually want to do is get that environment variable URL. So remember earlier we copied a environment variable from this one here, Clerk front end API URL from the integration. We're going to copy that, go back over here to, where is it? My panel, and paste it in and click on save, right? And there we have it. Everything's good. And what you'll see then is it'll say Convex functions ready because it succeeded. That's great, right? That's perfect. Now we're good to go. So what we want to next do is we need to wrap our app inside of the Clerk Convex provider. So this part right here, okay? Now you could be lazy here and honestly get things to be helped out with from Clerk side of things, or an agent to do this. But I'm going to show you again inside of layout.tsx, we have a Clerk provider. Okay, then in here, we need to actually make a inner component, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a components folder. And then inside of here, I'm going to call this one the Clerk Convex Provider, right? And you can call this, oops, no, don't do what I just did, .tsx. And then we're going to go and we're going to go ahead and copy this, and you can see it. Where is it? Where did they put it? So, there's two ways you can do this. I'm being lazy right now. ConvexProviderWithClerk is what I like to call it. ConvexProviderWithClerk.tsx. And then I like to do RFCE. I have a little snippets, right? Thing that you can add in. You guys can feel free to copy that if you want. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, make this a use client component. And then we're simply going to go ahead, and these are going to be the children, right? And then we're going to wrap in like so. Now, what we do is we import from Convex this line. Oops. This one, and this is the same name, so this can get a bit confusing now, but we're actually going to pull it in from Convex React, and this right here is Convex Provider with auth. Okay, now here we're going to pass in the use auth from Clerk Next.js, and then for Convex we are going to pass in, it was, I believe, they typically give it to you, where is it? This one is Convex here, new Convex React client. So we're going to go ahead and copy this, and we're going to import this from our Convex React, right? And then you see this says Vite Convex URL. Nope, that's not the one we want. Inside of our environment variable local, it is going to be this one, next public Convex URL, I believe. Yep, next public Convex URL. Yeah, and then we need to do a little check to say if that is not available, then we should throw an error. So if that's why it's complaining right now, throw an error. And then we have use auth here is freaking out because, let's have a look. Use auth, why is that one freaking out now? Convex provider with auth, Convex provider with auth, client use auth. And this one is from here. Now, I'm slipping on one simple thing, but if I go ahead and copy this in, I'm just going to ask. So I'll show you an exact example of where we can use AI, right? So here, right? So in this case, I'm going to open up a new chat, Command N. I'm going to paste in the guide that I've just got this from. And then I'm going to say, paste in that file, help me implement this into layout.tsx. Okay. And then we're going to go to our, typically you can start in plan mode. I'm going to go into agent mode. I'm going to use Opus 4.7 for this. Just paste it in. And now this can go ahead and get debugged because honestly, it has access to all of this. It can go ahead and figure this out pretty easily, right? Probably a very, very small minor tweak that I just need to do, but it will save you a bit of time, right? You don't need to really get into this as much anymore. Now, once that's done, you can see afterwards, when we have our queries and mutation functions on the cloud side of things, we can actually simply just go ahead and do context.auth.getUserIdentity. And again, all of the, what's it called? All of the authentication is then pulled through on the back end, right? So don't worry if this is confusing to you. I'll show you, like, you can just literally give this to AI and it will handle it for you. So that it goes, your Convex uses the generic provider and passes clerks or use auth, but the Clerk Convex recommends a dedicated Convex provider with Clerk. So I screwed up with that one, right? So Convex provider with Clerk, that was my fault. Want me to swap it out? We can say yes, and it will go ahead and do it. I thought so. It wasn't with auth, it was with Clerk. Convex provider with Clerk. Yeah, that's usually where we would screw up. So in that case, it was Convex Clerk provider, and that one is from here. Yeah, cool. That's good. Now we've got that. We can go back over to our layout.tsx, and then you can see Convex provider with Clerk, and there we have it, right? That's pretty awesome. Go up to our layout. And the reason why I'm showing you that, again, you can make that so simple and do that yourself with AI. Why should I show you that part? I still, to this day, think it's important that you set things up yourself than just trusting AI to do it for you. The reason being is, trust me when I say, guys, you're really, really going to go ahead and screw things up if you screw up your base. So you don't want to screw up your base. You want to make sure your base is strong. You want to make sure that you've got everything nice and, you know, set correctly. So that's done now. And then we can should go ahead and test our app. So let's go to our sign in. You're signing back into Clerk. Let's actually go straight to our localhost 3000. So continue with Google. I'm going to do Command I to hide this. Let's log into an account. So sunny.sanger@gmail.com. And we should be able to log in now. And what we should see is it renders children, which means it will go to page.tsx. So if everything worked, we should be able to see the get started, edit the page.tsx file once we've logged in, right? If we see that, we've done things correctly, right? And things are all good, okay? So in this case, we have a redirect and there we have it, right? Awesome stuff. So now we're logged in. So if I was to refresh now, I'm logged in. How can we tell that we're logged in? Well, we actually have these nice little, you know, testing things that we can actually add in here. So over here, I'm actually going to get rid of everything from main. And we're going to go ahead and just paste it in. And then I'm going to go ahead and import all of these requirements. So let's go ahead and import a bunch of this stuff. These are all just like, this is just content. We can just say authenticated for now. And then let's go ahead and hit save. And you can see here it says, add the use client directive. So in this case, we actually don't need to do that really. We don't really want to do that. I actually want to have it as well. I mean, just to test it, I can show you, but we don't need to make that a use client component, right? So look at that. It says authenticated and we have our user badge. We can click it and we can sign in and out. Okay. So that's pretty awesome, right? Now, of course, we don't want to do this straight off the bat. Okay. So I don't want to have this here. I just want to say H1, let's build an awesome Papa Mart. Cool. Okay, and then obviously don't be like me, correct your typing. Cool, get rid of this. And now we have our base, okay? So at this point now, we're gonna go ahead and build out the entire app. Now this is where it really starts to get fast real quick, so buckle up, it's gonna be fun, right? We're gonna do a couple of things and we're gonna check these off as we do it, right? So going back to our initial design, right? We had shopping cart, persistence we needed, favorites, product detail page, payments, checkout flow, my orders, inventory management, all these things. The biggest thing I'd recommend is firstly, create a list, right? So create a list like this, and we're gonna separate the AI stuff from this. We're gonna say that this is considered the MVP. I'm also gonna have something like, you know, inside of here, we're gonna have an admin panel where we can manage the inventory, okay? So admin panel where we can manage the inventory. And the reason why I'm going to show you how we can custom code all of this today is because honestly, can you go ahead and use something like sanity-cms? Like we just got a question from Gaurav. You can, 100%. I've done builds for that before, but you might want to really be bespoke here. And Convex is awesome for that. And plus we can use Clerk to authenticate the backend admin panel in a really nice way. So we're going to show you how we're going to do that now. Admin panel where we can manage the inventory. And yeah, cool. And also, let's say, and also manage customers and orders. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and copy this list and just copy this, just the MVP portion. And then we're going to go over to our agent. And this is where I'm going to switch to the agents window. Okay. So I'm going to be showing you both today. But what I'm going to do to basically get into the grips of things is I'm going to go ahead and take the Papa Mart kind of editor window and slap it over here. All right. Now, before we continue on, I'm going to make sure that we actually commit these changes. So I'm going to go ahead and open up an agent, and I'm going to go and make this go to Composer 2.5. And I'm going to say commit all changes and push, or just say commit all changes for now. Okay. So we want a fresh, clean branch. We don't want to have a dirty branch, especially when we're working this way. Right. Now, in order to go ahead and continue on, we can do a few things. So you see, we've got a few agents here, right? And I'll show you how I have my agent flow. Right, so Command B is the sidebar. And what you'll notice is whether you're using Cursor, Codex, Claude, they're all using this similar interface now, okay? So you're gonna see this more and more. The thing I like about Cursor is we still have our editor window. So it's very, very nice, okay? Now, if we go to our Git lens, or sorry, not Git lens, our graph tab, you can see that this is on main. It's not on the origin main. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say create a private repo for now, create a private repo and push to main, okay? So in this case, we're going to go ahead and create a private repo and push this to main. So I've got mine set up with Git, so it should be able to go ahead and authenticate. No remote is configured yet, creating a private GitHub and pushing main. So in this case, it's created Sunny Sanga, Papa Mart, and it's going to go ahead and push for me. And I've set this up beforehand, so that way it can help me out with that. Now, as you can see, it's pushed to main, and we can see, look, it's now on origin main, which means it's now over at this repo. So if I click on this now, I can see it on GitHub. Okay, so super quick, really, really nice. Now, I also added the Cursor plugin, right? So for GitHub, so that's how I was able to quickly authenticate that. Okay, now we're in a clean slate. Why did I also push to main? Because it's very important for one main reason. If we click into Papa Mart inside of the Cursor editor or the agents window, and we go to here, you can see we've got branches. Now I can do Worktree. This is very important because we're going to be building things in parallel today in a really cool way. So I want to make sure that we can enable Worktrees so we can do it safely, right? So first step is I'm going to go ahead and archive these. No, you will get the source code. I can make it private, honestly, public, sorry. If you want the source, you know what? I'll do something pretty cool right now, all right? I'm going to make this, what's it called? GitHub repo. So let's go to our GitHub repo, and I'm just going to quickly go to Papa Mart because I was working on something else before. So I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to make this one public. Okay, so that way you can literally go to my, I'm going to pop it in the chat in a second. Where is it? Change repo visibility. I'm going to go ahead and just change this to public right now. So I want to make this repo public. I've read and understand. Yes. Make this repo public. Okay. I'm using my passkey. Let's go ahead and do this quickly. And then that way, literally as I'm building it, you will see it. So you can literally grab the code and keep pulling as we do it. It's going to be kind of cool. Okay. So now Papa Mart is a public GitHub repo. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and push it. Literally proof is in the pudding as I build this thing. So I cannot make this up, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pop it in the chat right now. So it's in the live chat right now. You can, if you're watching the replay, feel free to dive into the live chat to get that. But effectively it's at this URL, Papa Mart. There you go. Right? So it's public. You can feel free to go grab it, right? So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start planning. So I'm going to go ahead and do plan new idea or do command tab. And you see, we've even got multitask mode, which is very cool. All right, so plan mode, we're going to go into our strongest model, which is Opus 4.7. I am on the Ultra plan, right? Do what you want to do, right, in terms of plan. What works for you, absolutely fine, right? Now we're going to go into our, we're going to stay on the main branch for the first element, right? And we're going to go ahead and paste in that MVP that we had before. So I'm going to go to my list over here, and we're going to paste in the MVP. Oops, I'm going to paste in this, right? Now, when I paste this in, I'm going to go ahead and say the following. I'm building a groceries shopping platform. This platform is going to have a client side, which effectively is going to be for when people go to the platform to buy their groceries, and it's going to have an admin side. Our tech stack is Next.js 16. You can actually check the tech stack for yourself. Just scan the repo and the code base. Do that yourself. And what I like to do is just do this individually, because sometimes I can go ahead and, you know, what's it called? And basically like make typos, whatever. But even then, who cares? Like, I'm going to leave it like this on purpose, right? To show you. So it doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and say, we want to create a plan to implement this. And I want to keep things very, very simple and modern in terms of design. We can revamp the design afterwards. I just want the functionality to be perfect. For payments, we can use Stripe. For membership, so in this case, free delivery for membership, we can use Clerk Billing. Make sure if you're using any third-party service like Convex, Clerk, Stripe, you are going to use the appropriate agent skills. We have everything installed. Okay. Now, the only one that I haven't installed here is actually Stripe Projects. So I'm going to go to Stripe Project CLI, and I'm going to go ahead and actually grab this page right here. And also the Stripe Project CLI over here. I'm going to grab this page in a moment as well. So I'm going to say for Stripe, I want to go ahead and use, can I bring, So in this case, for Stripe, for Stripe, I also want to go ahead and make sure we use Stripe projects, and then I will handle the linking of Clerk when we do this part. So let me handle that. But otherwise, just be aware that you have access to the Stripe Project CLI, the Clerk CLI, and also Convex MCP. Okay, and there you go. All right. So in this case, you see, I've kind of just talked into the thing. Plan mode, hit go. Okay. Now, while that's happening, we can do Command J here, and we have access to a terminal as well. But when I do things like this, I'm going to show you here because I think it's cool to show you a bit of both, right? So our app is running here as well. Now I'm going to create a new terminal separate from this, and I actually want to initialize things for Stripe behind the scenes, right? So first things first, you need to install the Stripe CLI. I've already done this step, so you just need to do that. The second step is we need to do Stripe plugin install projects, right? So in this case, we've actually, am I on the latest version? I don't know. Let's just double check that I'm on the latest version. We could do this, brew Stripe install CLI. Okay, let's just make sure I'm on the latest version right now. So we're going to go and do brew install Stripe CLI Stripe. Make sure that that is actually up to date, right? Now, once that's done, I actually want to go and make sure you're on the correct account. So Stripe login, right? And then you have to do a pairing with everything and make sure that you're actually logged in. And then you get an API key, okay? This is your sandbox API key, okay? So in this case, what we want to do is, we'll come back here and I'll answer those questions in a moment. But if we do Stripe login, okay? Now here, you see, like, press enter to open the browser or visit the following. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter to open the browser, and then it's going to ask me to go ahead and log in. Now, what I'm going to do here is just hide the screen because I'm not sure. I always forget which account is for the main thing that we're doing today. So what I'm going to try and do is log into the first correct account and make sure I can get this done right. So I'm going to log into an account. For you, it'll be simple. Just log into your Stripe account. But for me, I have 3. And I have each one for different reasons. So I need to make sure that I do the correct one. So give me 1 second and we can go ahead and carry on in just a moment. So let's hopefully think I got the right one for a sec. So it's now pulled me into Stripe. So in this case, I can go ahead and see here. I've got a few things, ingest demo. That's a demo. So we actually don't want to use this one. So what I would recommend you do before this is just go to the Stripe website. So I'm going to go to stripe.com, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do this right now. So I'm going to go into my dashboard, which is the top right, and then I'm going to go and do the following. So I'm in the sandbox. I can see it. Yep, I can see things here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click on exit sandbox. So yeah, I can show you this one. I'm going to click on exit sandbox, right? So, oh no, not this one. Sorry. We're going to go to, I think you can actually create a new project from scratch with this. So I think I'm already inside the right project. Instead, what I'm going to do is go to the Clerk CLI, or where was it? Let's do Clerk, Stripe projects, Stripe projects, Clerk, and then go to the Clerk blog. Very nice one. And we're going to do Stripe plugin install projects. Okay. So let's just do that right now off the bat. And this is a little demo one. So where are we at? Here. Okay, let's do quit that one and let's do Stripe plugin install projects. Now you can see installing projects version 0.14, right? And then we're going to go ahead and wait for that to install. Now this is very, very cool because once it's up and running, it pretty much connects everything for us. Stripe projects and init. I think we already have this part, so we can see how that one pans out. But here we go, right? Upgraded from project. Then we can do Stripe projects and init, right? And I'm not going to do my app. I'm just going to go ahead and do a init. So let's go Stripe projects and init. And then it should, look, Papa Mart has 25 existing files, initialize project in the current directory. So we're going to say yes. I'm not sure about this one. So it's asking me to go into my my keychain. So in this case, I need to quickly jump into this view and I'm going to enter my keychain. So give me 1 minute. And then now it's gone ahead and done the following. Using Stripe account Papa BNB. Oh, okay. That was a previous Stripe account that we created. This fine. We're going to leave it for now, right? But you can create a Stripe account, connect it. This will create the following in builds, projects, ignore, agents, cursor, Claude, and so forth. By accepting yes, we're going to say that's fine. Proceed. Creating project Papa Mart authenticated with Stripe. Okay, so it went ahead and added a couple of things. And then, interestingly enough, I think it would have got rid of some other stuff, but it's fine for now. Right, so it's authenticated. And we're gonna keep that one. It's our previous build, Papa BNB. But in this case, look, it says account is Papa BNB, but the project is Papa Mart. That's fine. Clerk is a provider. It actually auto-detected that Clerk was a provider, yeah? Your project is ready. And you see, like, Stripe projects environment variable pull. I love that part. So in this case, we're actually going to just try and run this anyway, because I'm not sure if we need to do it, but I'm just still going to show you guys. So look at this. This is awesome. Now, Stripe projects add Clerk. Now we're going to stay in the free plan because it's hugely generous, right? But you can go to Pro once you're ready. In the free plan, app name of the application, default Papa Mart. Now, I don't know if we need to do this actually because we're already connected. So, if I was to leave it as Papa Mart, I wonder if it'll create another one. But if we were to leave it, but I think we could leave it actually because we have the providers already set up. So I'm going to cancel out of that, right? Let's cancel out of that. Let's just assume it's set up, but we could actually check the files ourselves and do the following. So we have .projects and where would it be? It would be inside of Stripe project CLI. I don't think so. But in this case, you know what? Let's leave it as that, right? Let's just assume it was added, okay? So now I want to grab my environment variables. So in this case, Stripe projects environment pull. So let's do this one. And we should be able to pull fetching environment variables, no environment variables found. So I think we do have to do this. Stripe projects add Clerk. Okay. So free, we're going to call it Papa Mart, production domain, DNS required after provisioning. Now we're just going to leave that blank for now. And then you can see like Clerk, provision this plan and service, okay? So at this point, it would provision the plans. We click on yes, connecting to Clerk. And then you see setting up Clerk/hobby, and it's already logged into my account. And then you can see it provisions the account, sets up the resources, and it will even have the credentials applied. So credentials synced, and it even went ahead and went into my environment variables. So in this case, .env, it did it here, right? So we need to obviously change that for the .env.local. But this Clerk application ID, Clerk dashboard, Clerk environments, and hobby. I'm actually going to copy these over and I'm going to delete. We could actually move it all really to environment.local. I just want to check one thing now. So this app right now has the secret key SK test KTL. Is this different to our one? KTL. So I think it created a new one. Yeah, it did. It created a new one. So what we want to do, that's fine. We're just going to go ahead and run through a quick setup one more time for that part. So I'm actually going to shift these over to our or shift these over, let's say, to our environment instead of our env local. And then what we can do is we can say these are the new ones. We can get rid of our env local then. And we're just going to go through and make sure things are synchronized correctly. So our publishable key will change to this new project. So this publishable key will become this one. The secret key will become this one here. Okay. And then we can see everything else is pretty good, but the app would have changed. Convex stays the same. This stays the same. And our Clerk environment stays the same. Everything else is pretty good. Okay. The only thing that would have changed now is the actual integration. So remember, if we go back now to our Clerk setup, so look at this. We go to our Clerk overview and we go to projects, right? There'll be one project here that is actually new now. So if we go to our personal workspace, we should have another uncommon solo. So did it create this one? Where did it create? CC Clerk. Which account am I in? Team Papa Rat. I need to go to paparat.team. It was a different one. Yeah. So Papa Mart. See, it's created here. Okay. So we're going to go to this one now. All right. So we can, forget about the first one for now, the app. Go to configure, go to developer integrations, and we just need to do this step again. Enable Convex here, click on manage integration, and then go down. And remember this part, guys, we just go ahead and grab this URL. Now, where did we change this? It was over at Convex level. So to simply map things again over to the Convex side of things, we're just going to go over to our Convex, which was inside of here. We're going to edit this, and we're simply going to swap it out, right? So now we've synchronized everything. Our Clerk front end is now connected correctly. Okay. So with that in mind now, if we go and check out our terminals and we just run this one again, we cancel this one, we run this one again, we should be good now. We should see that everything gets deployed. So Convex function's ready. That's great. And we also see our app is running. Now, our app probably will throw a little bit of a kind of issue at us. So we'll see, because I'm logged in again. So I need to go over here. I'm going to close this one and do localhost 3000. Pull this again over here, and yep, there you go. It says just log me out. That's fine, right? So we're actually pretty good now. So I'm actually just gonna throw this over here. Let's put this over here. Let's push this over there. Okay, there we go. That's nicer, right? And we can actually probably for now just close these out and get rid of this desktop. Yeah, make life easier for yourself, okay? So let's sign in with this, and now we have our correct Clerk account. So this has all been provisioned now correctly. All right, so now Stripe is connected to Clerk, Convex is connected to Clerk, and most of that happened through the CLI, okay? So, and you probably just want to make sure that your Clerk understands which one it's in, so you can tell your AI afterwards. So let's answer the questions now from Cursor. It says, we have, should anonymous signed out users be able to browse products categories? Yes, right? Then how should admin access be gated? Clerk public metadata row? Yeah, actually we could do that. That's actually pretty easy if you're doing it. If you're not using organizations and B2B, this is actually a very simple way to do things. If you're doing Clerk organizations, then you can do it the official admin row way. But in this case, we can actually just use this one. It's quite simple to do, right? We just have to be responsible for setting up who is admin, okay? Public metadata.row. Now, to actually set that up, we can do a very quick thing. So we just logged into our app, right? And if we go over to, you see our page.tsx, this one, we're now logged in as Sunny. So if I go over to my app while that's planning, and let's see for ourselves by going to here, I'm going to make things a little simple. We're a bit all over the place right now. I'm going to log into my Clerk account here, and I think it'll be easier for you guys to see, right? So go over to the dashboard, and now we should be able to see in here, Papa Mart, but it wasn't this one. Remember, it was actually inside of our other account, so paparat.team. I need to make sure I'm logged into that account. Paparat.team. Let me give me 1 second. I'll log into that account, then we can carry on. And we're doing pretty good time-wise, right? So here we have it, Papa Mart. And remember, all the timestamps will be on this video afterwards, so feel free to check those out. And I'll answer your questions in a minute. I can see the chats popping. Okay, so if we go to users now, I can see this user. How do I make this user an admin? In the simplest term, where without the B2B aspect, go to Clerk metadata, public, and we create a row. So here we can say row, admin, right? So we can specifically toggle admins like this, right? And this is safe. You know, like, yes, someone can see it's an admin, but they can never add admin to themselves, right? This is in a trusted format. So while that's happening, this is going to create a plan for us. And then we're going to go ahead and proceed on. Now, you can see it's detected everything up, Clerk 1.37. In this case, you can see we got Papa Mart, and it's starting to write our plan for us. And this is where things are going to really start to move pretty quick, okay? Now, while this is happening, quick little review on the chat. I can see Gaurav says, a suggestion for the next live video could be where we create our own third-party API webhook service that other developers can integrate. That's pretty cool, right? I like that. That's pretty cool, actually. So Hale says, thanks for the content. I wish you could cover how to manage and maintain the project after we ship, how to ship updates and covering on live projects with active users. Tricky with live users, but this tends to be where I do it inside the inner community. So I would take it into consideration, but I think the shipping part is definitely valuable. We've got Botswana. I appreciate you. And we also got Sydney in the house. What's up, guys? Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And also, you're absolutely welcome to Funkiz for asking for the content. So you're absolutely awesome, dude. Don't worry. Okay, so here we have our plan. So let's review the plan. Command B to hide the sidebar. Papa Mart MVP build plan. So keep the stack you already have. confirms architectural decisions, Convex for all data, user products. And this is what I like to do. The plan is, this first plan is so important. I can't stress it enough. It's so important to get this right? Because it will literally set you up in a nice way. Admin getting public metadata row. This is what we just did now. That's fine for B2C app. Payments, Stripe checkout sessions, one-time hosted, simplest person. Yep, this is good. Through projects.dev. Cool. Stripe projects CLI, user will link Clerk billing themselves. Done. Clerk billing we can use as well. Very, very easy to do. And then Clerk has free shipping and ways of shipping on the free session. Yes. Search, we can do search index from Convex, routing, 2 app routes, app route, and app admin. Nice. This is what I wanted. All right, skills. So it's found the skills that it's going to go ahead and apply when we're doing everything. It's got the Convex, Clerk, Stripe, and then it's got some verification skills, which is Vercel, which I installed as a plugin. Now, the data model is where you can skim through, see for yourself roughly. I'm pretty happy with this Clerk user ID, categories. And again, you don't need to go over every single thing. Oops, that's actually my phone. Why is that popping up? I think I actually had a message and I must have clicked it. I'm going to hide that for a sec. So in this case, we have our orders. Very nice, all public file layout. And again, you can jump through here and you can see like our schema as well as our user stuff going on. So somebody says, bro, just use different branch, both in GitHub and your hosting provider. So your production is safe while you develop new things or just fix new stuff. Yeah, we do typically. Trust me, I usually have like a whole dev flow where we have staging and preview deployments and stuff like that. On a live stream, teaching it all can get crazy. So yes, you are correct with different environments, but I think a dedicated video is better for explaining that part, right? So phase, okay, we've got different phases, environment variables, cool, out of scope, MVP, multiple sellers, Stripe Connect, no, reviews, ratings, out of the scope. We could add that after. Address book as well. We need the address book. Yeah, obviously, how are we gonna ship our groceries to a person if we don't have the address book? So we need to have the user on board before they check out so we can collect their address. The address is mandatory before we proceed to the Stripe checkout session. So that all has to be collected beforehand. So if a user hasn't completed onboarding and doesn't have an address, we should check in real time from Convex if they have an address saved. If they don't, we should go through that flow. If they do, then we can proceed to a checkout because obviously the groceries themselves have to be shipped somewhere. So it's mandatory that we have addresses. Secondly, we should be able to go ahead and, 1 minute. So I'm gonna actually put that in. So sometimes I lose track of it, but in that case, mandatory that we have addresses. There's one more thing as well. After that, I want you to code review this plan. Yes, you heard me correctly. Code review the plan, right? So I do this now as a bit of a habit. So whenever, not just code reviewing my agents when they finish their work, I actually code review the plan itself, right? So I actually get it to go through, scan the entire plan, and basically tell me, okay, you know, this is good, this is bad, and so forth, right? So we can go ahead and actually do command. We can close this tab. What is this side? Is always, I forget, it's command option B. And it's going to go ahead and think through the next plan change as well. Now, while that's happening, let's dive into some cool stuff here, right? So we actually do want to do a few other things as well. ShadCN is an awesome project, right? I love it. We forgot to actually mention that it could be using ShadCN here. So what we should also do is, I want you to also use ShadCN for components. This will make the build process a lot faster, cleaner, modern, and minimal, prevent us from rebuilding things from scratch. And also, especially for the admin, this will help out a ton, including the sidebar, so it's mobile responsive. Okay, so before I actually submit that, I do recommend here, we can actually do the following. We can actually pass in the skills here. So I can go ahead and say, I'm actually going to copy this page and I'm going to say, be sure to use the ShadCN skills and MCP. ShadCN. So sometimes it does this, where ShadCN skills and MCP, and I'm going to paste in that link as well. Right, so I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to paste in this link. Okay. And then what I like to do is throw that in the mix as well. Right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then you can do obviously theming and everything else. Now, if you're new and you don't know what ShadCN is, firstly, I don't know what rock you're living under because ShadCN is awesome. So shout out to them guys. But it's also basically a component. I don't like to say component library, but you're basically like, you can pull in components really quick, right? So it's really, really nice. So here we have, oh, sorry guys. He goes, I wasn't saying that to you. So I know you do that. I was saying it to Sohail. Oh, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for clearing up. I didn't realize you were saying it to a fellow chat in person inside the chat. All right. Flutterverse Expo for AI mobile apps, 100% Expo for me personally. And now with the new SDK 56, you can actually have native modules as well, which is very cool if you need some native code. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and start setting up the plan. In this case, it's creating a new plan. Someone says, love you, Sunny. Sunny, but I appreciate you. I love you guys too. Okay, so in this case, while that loads, like I said before, if you're finding this stuff really cool, be sure to sign up to our community. I just dropped it in the live chat as well. Pop your name and email in. You'll be one of the first to enter our AI community. It's absolutely awesome. It's going to be huge. I promise you that. Right, it's free to enter as well. All right, let me clean up some of these things now as well so we can make our workspace a bit more neat. Okay, now also, I think another thing that I wanted to mention is when we set up Stripe Clerk CLI, we did do it with the previous config, right? So I want to make sure that we actually have the correct config for this build as well. So what we could do here is actually close this one out, go over here and actually make sure that we are correctly set up with the Papa Mart from Stripe apps. Okay, so the way we can do that is we go back to here. I can set up another agent and I can do Command D to go agent first here. So if we do Command D, oops, I can actually make it so if I close all of these, you'll see what I'm saying. So then it makes the agent view more prominent as opposed to Command D, and I come into editor view, right? So Command D is how you do that. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and say, when I use Stripe projects to initialize the CLI, I created a new Stripe, a new Clerk account. I changed all the environment variables, but please check if the Clerk CLI is configured correctly to use the new Clerk environment. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in the Clerk, this one here. So the config, so this one here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and paste that. Okay. Do you think someone can actually ship mobile apps while on Linux if they don't have a Mac yet? For such, how would you advise one to go for that approach? Yeah, you'd be surprised. Now you can do a lot, man. You can have simulators online, so you don't actually even need to have the phone. If you have an iPhone, for example, but you're coding on Linux, you can actually go ahead and do EAS builds with Expo. They'll go ahead and build something, and then it'll basically ship to. You can add it to TestFlight if you want, or an EAS build. You can do loads of different approaches, but there are solutions now that weren't previously available. And plus, you have AI to help out a ton, right? So in this case, it found issues, stock oversell race, biggest risk, right? So look at this. That's a very good point, right? We have webhook signature verification. Plans mention Stripe and Clerk webhooks as HTTP action, but doesn't spell out the security contract. Both blockers, right? These are good points to mention. Admin row, right? So the gate in proxy.ts, very nice. That's very, very true, actually, right? Clerk's billing, auth.has cannot be trusted across to Convex. I disagree with that one. So decode the clerk, identifying paid function. So this one I don't agree with. So disagree with B4. B5, users ensure current mutation cannot be called from a server component, first render. Proxy, matcher, and onboarding routes. Can't price snapshot versus live price currency. You see this. This is very, very good. Chancy and more, right? Toast library, present despite this being a single app. Convex admin subdirectory. So, okay, this is quite cool actually. So in this case, fix the rest, but ignore B4. Okay, as clerk billing works great. Unless you have a strong, high confidence reason to believe otherwise, tell me. Right? They're meaning more so on a Convex cloud function as opposed to it working on the Next.js side of things. Okay, but you see how you should code review your plan, right? So very, very kind of interesting thing which a lot of people don't actually know about. Okay, so in this case, they actually use Clerk mode agent. This is a new thing, by the way. Right, so that's pretty cool. Right, so in this case, it's running through, it's checking things out. And then we'll let that do its thing. But this is really cool. And what you'll find now, more and more, guys, is that companies are shipping CLIs that are agent first, right, or agent friendly, because you can get your agent, typically in the CLI, if you have a trusted environment, you can get your agent to do a lot of things, configure things, ship things, like honestly handle a ton of stuff. So they're now making it more friendly to do so. with what's it called? With agents. Okay. So look at this. Fair pushback. You're right. Clerk billing itself is trustworthy. Sorry. The real issue of circling what doesn't expose credit as a public Convex session. If we run it as a server action and have the server action call internal mutation, then it will work. Okay. That's pretty cool. Dropping the original before wording. See, sometimes you have to go ahead and know what you're doing, right? So in this case, that helps out a ton. Now, once this is done, I'm going to show you something amazing, right? So actually, when we come to build this, there's a lot of tasks that will need to get built. Part of this plan, or with Cursor specifically now that I thought was really cool, is they have this new thing over here, which is if you go to multitask, you see multitask? Oops, maybe I shouldn't have done that while I was doing it. But if you go here, you can actually change it to multitask. And that's quite bloody cool because what you can do is you can have sub-agents spin up in simultaneously. And I believe Claude Code or Codex just added background agents, one of them. I get confused at this point with all the different ones running on, but I also use those as well. But it's worth mentioning, it's very, very cool. J8 says, next time, could you also try Stripe Convex component? It's actually really good. Very interesting. So that's a good point. So Stripe Convex component. Let's have a look what he's talking about. So Stripe Convex component seamlessly integrates Stripe payments in subscriptions and webhooks with type safety. Wow. Okay. Maybe we do this right now. SaaS subscription billing, implement recurring billing with seat-based billing. So I do prefer Clerk's billing because it's so powerful and so simple. But for the checkout sessions, I do quite like it. So you configure it by adding a component to Convex, setting up webhook routes in HTTP. Oh, that's kind of cool, man. I do like that. Okay, maybe we do. Maybe we could mess around with this. And by the way, it's worth mentioning when you do set up Clerk billing, you do actually connect it to that Stripe account. So when we go ahead and actually create our dashboard, so if we go to configure, we go to billing, and we go to settings, enable user billing, create plan. Right, so if we go to here, you can actually create plans, right? So obviously we have a free delivery. So obviously everyone's naturally a free user when they sign up, but we might have, for example, Papa Mart Pro, right? In which case, if you sign up to Papa Mart Pro, you get free delivery, right? So in that case, that could be something really cool. Now, if you go to the settings here, and we click on enable and click on save, which is what I forgot to do, you'll see down here, you can develop in the Clerk Payment Gateway. And that's one thing I love about this, right? You don't have to set anything up, but when you're ready, you can connect the Stripe account here. So what I think would be cool is if we have this connected and managing the recurring subscriptions. However, we could potentially try out the Stripe Convex component for the, not the SaaS subscription, because we're going to use Clerk billing for that, but for the one-time payments. I think that could be quite cool. Generate customer calls so you can pay update down. Very nice though. I really like this. This is actually quite cool, right? So if I was to copy this, if we were to go to like opening Claude, opening JWT, let's do copy as markdown, all right? And then you see like for agents, if we go ahead and help me install the Stripe command, we can even do this, right? So plan is ready for a review. I'm actually going to say here, I'm going to paste that in and I'm going to say the following. So change of plans regarding the payment. When we do the subscription-based billing, we want to stick to using Clerk billing. And when we do the checkout, let's see what we can benefit from this Stripe component down below. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And then let's update the plan. And again, you might be surprised, right? Sonny, why are we in the plan mode for so long? Trust me, you could get so far if you just plan well. Right? And it's one of those things that I find a lot of people now are shooting ahead and they're not planning enough, right? So take a bit of a backseat, plan a few things. You're going to get way further, way quicker as just by literally giving yourself a little bit of that head start with the plan and just take a bit more time with that, right? So we have loads of viewers watching as well. What's up, guys? I appreciate you guys. Just encountered an ad. Don't even live stream. Safe to watch peacefully. You know what? I'm sorry about that. The live stream ads are super frustrating for you guys. Guys, I wish I could get it a bit nerfed down, but even when we do nerf it down, everyone still seems to not like it. So I can't do anything about that. But you can continue obviously watching a replay and so forth, or Papa Premium, YouTube Premium. Right? So let's see what it says. Let's see. So let me check the GitHub source to confirm whether it supports multi-line carts. This matters a lot for our grocery basket. And what we're seeing now is that we're starting to build up a deep, rich context. So I do like to do my planning with Opus 4.7. The reason being purely because of that big context window, right? Not because we want to blow it out, but especially when I'm in the planning phase, it's important that it remembers the details, not keeps compacting. Okay, so let's go down here and we can see that install command, right? Set up checklist, install package, register the component, set up in variables on the Convex deployment, mount webhook router. So this is for the HTTP routes, cool, Stripe webhook. And then we've got the checkout session complete and expired. That's cool. Run npx convex dev. This is for our creating our Stripe Convex route. Now this is crazy good, by the way, because what happens here is while we're developing, we can actually have a live URL that can already be connected to Stripe, right? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you've ever had to do ngrok and that annoying kind of port until you deploy, this eradicates that. So you don't need to do that. Copy the signing secret. Yes, we can do all this stuff. Required environment variables. Okay, what question is it asking me more importantly? Okay, so Stripe checkout session takes a single price ID and quantity. There's no line items. For groceries start with end products, the component helper alone won't work. We have 3 honest opinions. Hybrid. Install the component for webhook, scaffolding, signature, automatic mirroring, customer payments, invoices. Okay. Mint the actual line checkout via the Stripes. I mean, do we need the line? I think we could just do a basket and save the kind of the contents. So in this case, let mint the actual multi-line checkout via directly on our server action, passing customer, our domain logic hooks via enrichment. We get most of the components value without losing multi-line cart support. Okay, or per create Stripe prices per product. That's long. I don't want to do that. My recommendation is A, drop your Convex Stripe application, use register routes instead. Okay. Keep actions checkout. It still has auth free shipping and still calls internal create orders for stock reservation. Okay. Instead of importing Stripe directly, we wrap the SDK in Convex checkout that calls Stripe client get upgraded for free. Then calls the raw SDK from multi-line, then returns the URL. Bonus Stripe payments table comes out. Okay. So I think this is not bad actually. We're going to go ahead with that. Right. So again, you see what I mean about doing it live, right? You guys literally asked me to try out Stripe, the Convex Stripe integration, and look at that. We can try it live, right? This is live. I have not ever done that, by the way. So this would be cool to see how this pans out. So I'm literally putting myself in a very stressful situation, but it's cool. Maybe this is how actually development happens. So I'd rather you guys see me fail and learn how to overcome it than basically get stuck and not know what to do. Right now, I want to make sure I'm in the correct account. So here, Papa BNB, I think it was this one. We go to Papa BNB inside the Stripe. I just want to make sure I've got the right account up. So here we have it, but switch to Sandbox. Papa BNB. Frustrating. Where is it? This is the problem with having so many demo builds everywhere. You get very lost very quickly, but it could be this one. So 51T, right? So while this is building, let's check out our environment variables and let's see. So 51T. So click plan Stripe. Do we have anything Stripe here? No, we don't. Okay, that's fine. So it's okay. We can do the Stripe project CLI, or we can use the Stripe CLI to actually get our environment variables. So if I go here, you can see like Stripe login, Stripe interactive. This is all fine. We don't care about that though. Let's go back and see. Projects, Stripe link Vercel. That's very good as well, by the way. So you can actually add in Vercel. Like that's cool. Clerk-auth we already did. And you can see like Vercel project ID, Superbase. You can do whatever you want. It's very, very nice. Use a coding agent. Link my existing Neon, blah, 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 blah. Stripe coding soon directly into the thing. So add to avoid browser pop-up, sign into your Stripe account, associate Stripe projects link. So Stripe projects this. So let's just double check. There's the live key. Yeah, you're right. But I just want to make sure while it's doing the plan. And also, did it? Oh, it was still doing this. How long has this been going on for? Wow, it's on super. I find that sometimes extra high just goes in a crazy long rabbit hole. It's unreal. Like this has been going on for a while, no? So I completely forgot about this thing. So unless it was just like stuck for some reason. So let's see what that's doing. So fetch linked. I mean, we can let it happen, right? Use that link and Sunny makes money. Yeah, if you use the live one, feel free. But finding the hybrid plan updated, here we have it. So review the plan, view plan, right? Now here we have it. So big build, right? Papa Mart MVP. So we checked everything else before payments. Hybrid via Convex Dev Stripe, install the components, blah, 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 blah. Membership, Clerk billing, pricing table. For the free shipping, subscription stays in place, not the Convex Dev Stripe subscription path. That's much easier, yes. So we're going to use Clerk billing for our subscription-based billing, and we're going to use the one-time checkout via the Stripe checkout sessions that we create on the fly. We're also doing a slight change to account for the multi-line support because we have a cart, right? Now, for the shopping cart, we want it to be persistent, and I don't see anywhere when I was reading about the shopping cart being persistent, right? So I'm just going to say, for the shopping cart persistence, perhaps we use the stand for the state management to keep things simple. And also, I want it to be persistent. So if the user was to refresh the page, then we should have their cart be persistent and also behave correctly when they finish their purchase. So they should come back and see an empty cart and so forth. Okay, so let me just see and make sure it said the stand. So perhaps we use the stand, see, the stand for state management, keep things simple. So in this case, we could do that, right? So this final little iteration, I promise will be on the run to go ahead and get that working. Okay, so it found 2 CLIs managing 2 different environment variables. Oh, okay. So let's see, current state of the Clerk CLI. So I've accidentally mixed up a few things. Environment local, missing the next Clerk publishable and Clerk secret key. Is it missing that? I think I set those up. Clerk, next publishable, and Clerk secret key. No, we did set those up, so it's fine. Yeah, see, it ran that before. Oh, environment local. Okay, so I see what it's doing now. So in this case, I'm gonna say .env is the correct one to use. Discard .env.local. Okay, and then yeah, so it shouldn't have changed any files, which it didn't, I believe. Yes, it didn't. Let's just go ahead and do that. So env is the correct one. Discard env local. That needs to be migrated over. So no, don't migrate. Sorry, don't migrate. I fixed these, but again, check for yourself. But yeah, this, you see where it can get a bit like kind of, it's got a bit confused. I did actually run it in the wrong order. I'd recommend adding in the Stripe project first, and then it'd be a bit easier. Just nice. Funkers, I see you. Right. So over here now, you can see, look, it's doing the plan, almost done with the plan. And look, you see, this is a nice chunky plan. Like, it's huge, right? This is good. Right, foundation, hook resolvers, React hook form. Yes, good. We've got Zod. This is much better. We're going to have correct validation. The catalog is nice. Cart and favorites. And then after this, we'll do a seed where we can basically seed things in. We've got ShadCN form for the address form. Very nice. Onboarding page handles the next redirect. Checkout guard disables the proceed button reactively with the current user address missing. Nice. Very good. Very good. Okay. Now, okay. Now, the user clarified by reason both of them don't actually get loaded messages. Okay, so Clerk Doctor is checking the env local. Okay, so I see. This is the thing. Stripe projects is checking .env, and so I guess we could migrate from env. Look at it. I can see Stripe managed by Stripe projects contains the variables. Yeah, the env file and there's a critical missing piece. Clerk front end API is required for the Clerk front end API. That's from Convex's side. Anyway, this is like a minor thing. When we actually run it, it was so easy to fix that. I'm just doing that in the background while we can basically wait for our plan to go get implemented, right? So this is good. So now we're using the sand and the persist. Loses the cart items, favorite stays convex backed, called out explicitly, cool stuff, right? Before it was actually doing it in okay, so you know what? Before it was doing it in Convex, which is actually quite nice, but I think it's okay. I think we're going to do it instead in local, because otherwise you're having writes every time they change it. But that is not a bad way. I mean, I don't agree with that way, because you could have loads of people that churn and basically, yeah. Right. Now, what I'm going to do is save the plan. So you see here, when we have our plan, I'm going to make sure this is the correct plan. Yeah, build. You can do build in parallel. Very nice, right? So what I'm going to do firstly, though, is go here and save to workspace, right? So you're going to save it to the workspace. And what you'll find is if we do Command E, go up here, cursor plans. We have the Papa Mart MVP plan. We spent a long time making it. You might as well save it, right? In case we ever something happens and we need it back. So next up, we're going to use this build in parallel. Parallelize the build with multitask mode. This is awesome, right? We're going to do this right now, right? Multitask, 8 to-dos. And this isn't something that I've seen that Cursor does, which the others aren't doing at the moment. So now it's going to basically build this in parallel. Now, of course, that's going to use a lot of tokens. I don't really care. It's fine, right? I'm doing this to teach you guys how it works. It's pretty cool in my opinion. So in this case, ChatCN, Convex configuration database, schemas, clerk, webhooks, and the call layout structure. Now, it's going to basically go ahead and figure out how to do this in parallel. And the thing I love about this is I was doing this before this became a feature with my own agents. So, and I really like the fact of where the AI side is going. So now they figured out people were doing that and they started adding these features in themselves. I thought it was really nice to do that. Okay. So while that's happening, how do you want to proceed? So over here, this is unlink the Clerk CLI from the old app, relink it to the new modest and add Clerk front end to EMB. Unlink the Clerk CLI from the old app. Yeah, I think we need to do that exactly. So when we set up the Clerk CLI, we linked it to the old app. So it needs to unlink and then link to the new one. So let that do its thing. So in hindsight, what you want to be doing is Stripe projects. Well, firstly, create a Clerk account using that link in the description. Helps us out a ton. Secondly, once you've created your account, go ahead and then do the following. Go to Stripe projects, do the CLI command, create your Clerk instance, right? Then it will create the Clerk account. Then you do the Clerk CLI to go ahead and link it to that account. So that's the order that I would have done in hindsight. Okay, new Clerk app is this one over here, 3E4D. That's correct. Now let me link to new apps and then add Clerk front end. Okay, cool. That's cool. And it's going to go ahead and relink. Very nice. All right, so let that do its thing. Foundation. This is cool. Look at this, guys. So now we have subagents. We'll resume when subagent finishes. So foundation worker is running in the background. Once phase 1 completes, I'll launch the storefront and admin work streams in parallel. They share the schema, but don't completely touch separate route trees. Then a final verification pass at the end. Now you can click into the subagent runs by going over here, right? And you can see effectively what's going on. Now, as I mentioned before, is it going to use a lot of tokens? Yes, it will. If you click here, you can actually start seeing the breakdown, but know that each of these ones are going to have their own token usage. Okay. So I noticed that Cursor have started to hide that, right? So in this case, they're not showing us that exactly very clearly, but just know that, yeah, they do. And if you want to see what's working, you can click on this working. And obviously it makes sense. The phase, the foundation is the most important things. You can't do that in parallel. The schema, making sure it deploys and all that stuff, right? That needs to be done as phase 1. And then once that's done, this main agent is going to go ahead and continue to create sub-agents to go ahead and build things out. Okay, this is where it gets really powerful quite quickly, honestly. This is unlinking. It's doing a relink. Clerk link. Managed to do a couple of things. So let's just let that do its thing. Right, hopefully you can figure out that for us. Otherwise, I'll jump in and do it myself. But here, let's have a look. So it's got 12 things it's doing. So install the runtime dependencies via pm add. So it's doing that for us now. And then it would go ahead and do ShadCN UI, core component set, mount toaster. And so we've got toasters as well. And then it'll do the Convex schema. It'll do HTTP. This is going to be the backend web routes that we will link to our webhook. Instead of doing it on Next.js, this is a better way of doing it, in my opinion. We have the proxy that will basically determine if you're an admin and you're allowed there or not. Then we have the ensure user, restructure app. Okay, that's good. And then the code gen. Once this is done, it can basically fly forward. So it's already got through the first to do, and you can see it's making progress. Okay. So this is very nice now. We can leave this in the background doing its thing. I guess in the meantime, this is the thing, we kind of go away. So I've got an amazing time to answer questions, by the way. So feel free to ask questions away as this is building, right? Because the main juice happens after this that I can then get into things. But for now, you can see phase 1 is in progress and we have a sub-agent with 12 subtasks, right? Now, typically when I'm building this in case you're wondering, how does Sunny do this, right? I have a linear. I love linear. I use it all the time. And I basically get an agent. So I connect the plugin for linear and I will talk to an agent about my plan, what I want to do, and I get it to create linear tickets, and I get it to create sub tickets, and then basically I'll have a team of agents go ahead and implement the tickets outright and follow certain rules that I like to check for, right? That's how I work most of the time when I'm doing this. And that allows me to really move at scale and not get confused what's happening, what, where, right? Once this is done, this base, I will show you how we can spawn up work trees and how we can move forward with that. And that's where it really does get quite powerful. Okay, sub-agent definition. So I don't think it shows up, but look, already we've got a huge amount of code being added, right? So in this case, we've got the clerk skills. So you can see a ton of clerk skills, copy volumes. Yeah, and then we can go down here. So if we look at the actual, what's this one here? Well, that's the plan, yeah. So in this case, it's gone ahead and set up ShadCN. That's why we can see all of this stuff right here. And then we've got the breadcrumbs. So it's just importing a bunch of ShadCN components at this point. We've got the UI dialogues, drop down inputs, selects. These I can just fly past because these are being installed from ShadCN, right? We can see React hook form, ShadCN. Main thing to look for is that it's not changing main versionings, right? So if it changes, for example, Clerk to version 6, no, jump in at that point and fix that, okay? And so forth, right? Now it's done tables as well. Let's go back over here and let's actually dive into it. So now it's got to step 3. So in this case, mount the toaster, right? So now it's actually done a lot of the simple things. These are all UI effectively, right? So very, very simple things on the UI front. Mainly afterwards, the backend is the most interesting part, okay? So again, perfect time to ask me questions. Feel free. No question is a bad question. Go. You can ask me whatever you want on stream and I'll start reading the chat as well. Okay. So use that key and that was the key thing that he's talking about. And I'm just scanning through some of the old chat to see if I missed any of your questions. But yeah, in the meantime, I am fully aware, by the way, that this AI space moves so fast, right? It can be really overwhelming for some of you, and I know how that feels. And that's honestly why we've created that community that we're basically launching very, very shortly, Zero to Hero AI Hero. This is where we're going to basically have weekly calls because you need weekly calls to get to familiar with things. Honestly, like I have my own inner community where we talk about this stuff, but really the space is moving damn fast. I spend most of my time doing this stuff in, day out on my own projects, on YouTube stuff. So if you really want to just extract knowledge from me, this is the place to do it. I'll be sharing every single thing I know. Just let me know in the comments now if you've signed up as well, and I can be sure to make sure you have a little bit more of a chance of getting in when we release the cohorts in, right? Jane says, Codex user here. Why not try 5.5? I definitely do, by the way. So most of the time I have Cursor for when I want to do like the base of things. And then I have Claude Code and I have Codex. I have subscriptions everywhere for this stuff. And I basically will use Codex 5.5 for a lot of the stable coding. I find that it's very good for robust coding. But anything design, Opus 4.7 is still like my go-to. Anything quirky, like if I need to find or go to a specific point in an app and fix something, I'm using Composer 2.5 lately. So that's my kind of like breakdown of my stack at the moment, right? Or model stack, I guess, right? Somebody that says, what advice would you give someone who's trying to develop a coding skill while using AI to help? So the reality is manual coding is not the way it used to be before, right? The real value and skill that you're going to get now is knowing architecture, knowing the patterns to look for, knowing, you know, how to prompt well, the plugins, MCPs, why these things are important, because they allow your agent to have the relevant context, the relevant skill set, basically. Ironic, I said skills with skill set, but it basically levels up your agent in a way where they can write better code as opposed to crap code, right? Those things are going to help you out a lot. Now, I'm not saying you over-engineer it, and this is a very interesting point that I saw one of the founders, I can't remember which company, but spoke about this, but one of the big company founders basically said, it's actually a disadvantage sometimes if you're a really good engineer, because chances are you'll over-engineer the hell out of something and never move. And that hit home because I've done that myself before. You don't need to over-engineer too. Trust me, are you going to make the best app in the world the first time? No. Is it going to have some AI slop inside of it? I guarantee it will, right? But the point is that learn by doing, right? Because the reality is you're going to hear all these people online saying, oh, but this person's making AI slop. Ignore the noise, guys. Like, yes, you can easily build crap. So watch people do it, like myself. Pick up on what I'm prompting for, the architecture things I'm looking for, scalability concerns, these kind of things. Like, look out for these things. Like, know the high level architecture side of how something works, and then you can slowly piece together. And then as you get stuck, literally, it's never been easier to have a private tutor that you click on new agent, explain blah blah to me, literally on call 24/7, never sleeps, will answer every single question you have. Like, this is the feedback loop you should be creating, right? Let's see, new app link attempted, logged in CLI account, doesn't own that app. So this was actually inside of, oh yeah, I was in the wrong account. So I need to do clerk-auth logout. Okay, so let's do that right now. Because I completely forgot about that. So remember, we are logged into a different clerk account. So let's do clerk-auth logout. Clerk-auth login. That's why it wasn't also connecting well. Makes sense. Okay. So if we go to developer, let's go over here. Continue. And I believe it was my Papa React account that I was correctly set up with. And then we can link the app correctly. Okay. Stripe apps. Yes. Allow. Okay. Authentication successful. And now you can see clerk init, but in this case, clerk link. I want to clerk link the app. Doop. And then clerk link, and it now linked it to Papa Mart. Very good. Clerk environment pool to fetch, right? And then clerk JSON and clerk Dr. JSON. Let's just do that one first. Running dependencies, all checks passed. That's great. Okay. I can say switched and done, right? And then the reason why I say switched and done is because then it will do a little check on itself most of the time. If it doesn't, I can just say do a check yourself. But this seems pretty good. Show completion not installed for ZSH, add eval, Clerk completion help. That's kind of cool. Oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. Clerk complete. That's very nice. You get clerk shell completion. So show completion is a clerk completion dash help. Look at this. Clerk completion ZSH output completion script. Let's do that one. So let's do, I use ZSH. So run eval to enable completions in this session. And then append the same line to go ahead and do that as well. So cool. So if I did clerk, and so I don't think I added it correctly. Oh yeah, oops, I didn't. Yeah. So now if I did clerk, auth. Oh, that I don't know if it's doing it, but either way, yeah, you can add it there, and that would be kind of cool. I think that could be an in progress thing, or I might be wrong, but yeah, pretty nice. Nice re-verifying the state. Okay, cool. Now, let's jump back over to our previous agent, and we can see that this phase 1 foundation agent is just about wrapping up with its final task. And it's running Convex code gen. And now it's going to see, let me create the layout page. Let me fix the HTTP type narrowing. And here's where I'd say you need to start checking things. So when you dive into this, what things I'd be looking for, right, is the, things I would be specifically looking for is any types, right? So, or, manual type declarations. So like here, for example, so we are inside of the HTTP file and we have clerk email address, clerk user payload, clerk webhook event. I mean, why are we exactly creating these types ourselves, right? This is not a good pattern. I would argue with this right now and basically say, don't do that because you're going to break your type definitions. So at this point, they've done its type check pass, but I am going to say here, I'm going to say, don't manually type TypeScript definitions unless there is absolutely no way to infer them from the modules themselves. Otherwise, you are breaking the type safety of this project. Right? This is a very important thing to look for, by the way. Right? So it's a very annoying thing that it does, by the way. It does it a lot, and I hate that. But you really want to make sure. So don't manually type TypeScript definitions. I hate it because a lot of the time you would believe that that's correct, right? But really, you might be able to get this from somewhere else, right? So look, it's going to send this constraint now and steer this worker, okay? So this will go ahead and send a message now to this agent, and you can see, look, it sent it over there. So did it do it? I think it, see. So constraint relayed, the same will apply to the storefront and admin workers I launched in the next wave. Nice. So in this case, we can go back over there. And then after it did this, you see, like, apply additional constraint applies to all current and remaining work. Do not manually type in. I need to go back through the code I've written and swap out the manually defined types for the ones that TypeScript can infer from the Convex validators. You see that? Boom. Very annoying thing, but it does that a lot, right? And I do find that that's a big problem. So J8 says, why do you prefer planning mode over normal conversation? I personally have a Notion dump where we talk with the agent back and forth and note it down on the Notion end. So planning mode is so important. I cannot stress this enough. If you jump straight into agent mode, you're going to find that you're going to be pretty much look, firstly is define. What is a plan? What is plan mode? Basically just defining a plan beforehand. That sounds a bit self-intuitive, but literally you're just creating a outline, like a strong outline. And that is guaranteed to get you a better result on your output. I've done this a billion times over both ways. Agent mode is like saying, let's just start right now. And then you're going to be changing things and recognizing. Plan modes allows you to call things out in advance. So you're not burning through tokens, building a bad solution and then fixing a bad solution, which will happen, by the way. It will happen over and over and over again. So plan mode saves that. So if anything, you want to be more token efficient, plan mode is a must, right? It's so important to do that. And then, of course, as you go on, there's levels to this. You can basically go ahead and have things update your Claude.md file. So that way your agents get more and more smart and know your way of coding. I do this a ton in my own workflow. And again, I talk about this in the community. Funkis is saying, did you answer my last question? I wasn't giving attention. You know, typing. I didn't check it. So which was the last question that you asked? Yeah, feel free to put the question back in. I don't think I saw. Is there any alternative free agent like Opus 4.7? You can have local Olama models, but I wouldn't say there's an alternative as powerful as, as that, right? So when does the waitlist stop when we start the 0 to AI hero? I know. Honestly, I've been overloaded with the amount of things that we're doing right now, but I promise you it's coming, guys. I promise you. All you need to do is just sign up to that waitlist and it will be available so soon. Right, Jay's on holiday as well, so it's just me and a few members of the team that are handling a lot of this stuff. But those don't have me handle my day-to-day stuff; they handle like edits and stuff. So I got you. We're coming, and then once it drops, oh my god, be ready for information overload, but in a nice, digestible way, right? So head back over here. So he's going ahead and running through all of the different builds and basically handling that. And again, like a lot of code has been written, by the way. We're already with 7,000 lines of code in. All those products that you built live, is there any way to share them with us, even by paying as a subscriber? Yeah, we do have the Papa GitHub repo, so you can feel free to go out there and basically grab that one. I believe it's in the description, but check out one of my old builds. It's 100% in one of the descriptions. It's called Papa GitHub repo. You can go ahead and purchase it. I think £67, and you can basically get access to everything. That helps support the channel as well, so I appreciate it. Tadia says, so I was curious, do you use models locally as well? I've recently set PyHarness together with Qwen, and it performs beautiful for execution tasks, though I still use Opus for planning. Yeah, very good approach, by the way. Qwen 3.6 35 billion parameter model is very good. I have it running on a Mac Mini. It struggles a bit on a light Mac Mini, but if you've got a powerful one, it can handle it. But yeah, that's it's a good approach. The plan, again, Opus plan, and then you can execute in something else like a Qwen. Okay, but just know, again, like I said, like in my opinion, it depends on what you're trying to build, and if there's time essence to it or deadlines, things like this that are involved, then yeah, like GPT 5.5 is a really, I mean, I have burned through Opus many times over and over, but GPT 5.5, for the life of me, I find that it's so efficient with tokens. I will fly through like so much work and it will just barely burn through. So maybe I'm doing something right, or maybe it's just way more efficient. But let me know your experiences in the chat as well. It's a very good chat, by the way, today. So if you're watching the actual live stream, a replay of this, check out the chat as we're waiting for things, as you're waiting for this to unfold, or obviously jump through to the timestamps to go ahead and get things moving. Right, so quick little water break as well. Okay. Nice. Nice one today. I like the sound. Okay. So in this case, the agent has gone ahead and completed a couple of things, and it's made sure that everything is reachable. Cool. Nice. So this will go ahead and wrap up now on its work, and then it will pass that work to our main agent thread. And of course, our main agent thread, if you see, has a list of to-dos, and you can then pull up the to-dos in a couple of ways, Command-Shift-B, and you can see over on the sidebar, we should have plan. Where is it? It's not this one. It is. Sometimes it doesn't pop up, but basically, sometimes it can show the actual steps. I mean, maybe here it is. Yeah, sorry. So phase 1, add the Convex dev stripe and so forth. It did already do this. It's just wrapping up, finalizing phase 1, built phase 1 foundation cleanly. And then it's going to go ahead and pass this through. So look what it does now. Once it's finished, it will go ahead and push this through into the main chat effectively, right? And then the main agent now says, okay, that agent's finished. Now we can go ahead and carry on. Now it's going to move into parallel work streams. And this is where it gets really cool, right? So the file ownership matters here to worker A will own the public product and order queries on the storefront side, while worker B gets the admin specific mutations in separate files. But it's going to make sure that it doesn't have collisions. This is cool, right? And this is something which I was doing before, but now they've made it way more accessible to you guys, right? So launching 2 parallel implementation workers, storefront and admin. They share the schema already in place, but own disjoint files. Okay, so I quite like this one. So let's go ahead and wait for that to happen. Sometimes it takes a second as well to kind of start those agents up. But what we'll see here is, you see this, look, it's spun up phase 2 and phase 6 together. Okay, and you see how we spent a lot of time in plan mode earlier. See, but now it's going to really come into fruition and help us out a lot. Okay, so in a moment, we will see the 2 subagents spin up. Unless they already did, or I'm missing something. So launching the 2 parallel subagents, let's give it a second. I don't want to kind of, it might be doing it and then I come in and crunch it and it has to start again. But in this case, it says it started it, but let's have a look. So phase 2 and phase 6, launching 2 parallels. So launch the subagents before. I'm going to be patient. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm just going to push it in. Right? I'm going to force it in. Launch the subagents. Right? Go. Do it. Sometimes it gets stuck, I find. And you just have to push it through. Right? And then, of course, like this is a kind of like when people say one-shotting an app, right? It really frustrates me. Like, yes, you can effectively one-shot an app that can impress someone who doesn't know what they're doing. But realistically, you're not going to be one-shotting an app, right? The main thing that you're going to be doing is more so like phasing out the development of parts, right? So typically, would I do this all in one go like this? No, in the live stream, yeah, we do this. But typically, do you have to do this like this and in one go? No, right? You want to go ahead and do it and take longer than expected. This is mainly because it's trying to do it. This multitasking thing is also new. I'll be honest, it's a little bit frustrating because I wanted to show that, but maybe we don't need to show this for this part. Maybe we can just show it for... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, don't parallel run, just build. Let's do that, right? Let's just go ahead and push it in. And maybe when we get to some simpler parts, we can go ahead and do that, right? Just build. Let's go ahead and make sure that that does it now. And sometimes this is a prime example of where if it gets stuck, how do you recover from this? Because this could happen to you. This has happened before to me. It's quite frustrating, but we can say, look, now phase 1 is complete, phase 2, right? So what we could do here is if it does get stuck and we don't need to, basically, yeah, we're a bit screwed in this sense, then what we can do is we can create a new, select, failed to save the content of your files new, do you want to overwrite? Overwrite, okay. What we can do is we can go ahead and do a separate chat and basically say resume from phase 2. That's one way, or you can just give it a sec now. And now it's going to plan from phase 2 onwards. In this case, we'll let it do phase 2 onwards, okay? But yeah, it's a little bit of a patience thing as well. Okay, so now we're done on this side of things as well. So everything's connected up correctly. This ID is production not configured, that's fine. Env local is missing. You've potentially put them in .env. And show completion not installed for SSH cosmetic. That's fine. We're good to go. Cool. So these ones we can actually close down, and then we can go over here. And now, okay, I'm tired of waiting. I'm going to close this one. I'm going to do new chat, and I'm going to say plan at plan. So you see, this is why you saved the chat, right? You were executing this plan, and then you froze on phase 2. So you've already completed phase 1. Continue phase 2 and beyond. And this is what I do. right? And this is a way for me that will recover my sanity, because sometimes that will drive me crazy, right? So that's just something to know. It can help you out if that happens ever. So sometimes I've honestly, this has happened to me a few times before, by the way, where it kind of can get stuck and it doesn't know like what to do, and I don't want to dive into it more. In this case, you see how now we can just, in fact, we might be able to get some success here with multitasking. So if we do multitask here, do it in parallel as you can, right? So let's see it. If we can get multitasking to work now, it'd be really nice if we can get multitasking to work, right? Let's see, planning next moves. I need to check what's already been cleared in phase 2, and then I'll continue executing this plan. Given it's large, I'll delegate it to coherent. I'll owns end-to-end execution part in terms of subagents. Cool. First, let me quickly check the current state to check the worker accuracy. Now, what I don't like that it does here, it sometimes does it correctly and better, but it can actually spawn off composer agents. And I've noticed in the more recent updates, it stopped doing that, which is kind of frustrating. I used to love when it did that, because composer can spin up things and just do it really quick, like scanning through the app. I don't know if it's something from me that I've done here, or if it's something which we can maybe toggle or change, but let me know your experience about that as well, and how you guys have experienced that. So improve mode. So explore sub-agent model. See, this is the initial research for the main agent. Yeah, typically, like this is the one. Like I love this when it does this, but it's a bit frustrating when it doesn't do that. Yeah, let me know your experience. Here you go. Look, phase 1 is solid. This is it. This is cool. All right, storefront, phase 2 to 6, and then phase 7 and phase 8. So it's going to do 2 workers. So and hopefully it can kick off these workers now without dying. But let's see. Right, Mustafa goes, hey, Mustafa is in the building. Great special greetings to the man himself. Sunny and Jay, I'm a bit late, but seems we're off to a good start. Sunny, where am I from to test your memory? Mustafa Cisse, I know your name. I know your name. Damn it, dude. I know your name. Cisse, wasn't it the email that you, wasn't it someone, didn't you send me an email recently about GitHub access? I feel like yeah, I feel like it's the email and we resolved it yesterday or today. If I'm correct, I'll be so impressed. That's cool. Yeah, so look, the multitasking is not working very well at the moment. Maybe it's because it's a huge thing that I'm asking it to do. Like I'm asking it to do phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as well as this, right? Like, oh, no. Yep, a little bit of patience. Thank God. I wanted to show you this. Yeah, look, there we go. First one from Gambia. You meant location. Anyway, welcome, dude. Good to have you. Gambia. So there we go. We got one agent kicked off. Amazing. Cool. And we should have our second one kicking off in a minute. This is the new multitasking mode. Okay, and this is what I really like, because this is quite powerful. Like admin marker, phase 7. Pass once to return on phase 8, lint built end-to-end verification. And you'll see an entire app come together real fast. And this is crazy because yes, we spend time planning, executing this kind of agent flow, but really, like, it will literally, you'll get to the finished product faster. It just doesn't seem like it, and visually, maybe it's not as stimulating, but look at this, look, that's cool. Now we've got 2 agents running. Now you can see, look, we've got 2 agents running, and then we have our main thread agent waiting, okay? So you can even give the first one instructions to go on code review phase 1 if you wanted, right? So while that's happening, so while this is even happening, we can actually say code review phase 1 while the sub agents work. And look, now it's literally going to code review phase 1 while these 2 sub agents are doing their thing, right? So you can click into each sub agent and have a look at what they're doing. But this is very, very nice, right? Now, Harish says, hey, special greetings from the main man himself, saying, Jay, I'm a bit late, but, oh, sorry, that was the same. Oh, this is, what the hell? This is the same message. I'm confused now. How's Cursor Composer stacking up to Frontier models so far? I like Cursor Composer, quite honestly, but I still have a soft spot for Opus 4.7, and GPT-5.5 is honestly very, very impressive lately as well. So I'm definitely a fan of that. In fact, you know what? I'm very curious to see how many tokens we burned through today. I believe I was on 53%. So plan and usage 67, so 53, 67. So about, yeah, not too bad, 14%. API use I went through on an ultra plan, right? And this is quite a huge amount of stuff is actually done, 7,000 lines of code plus a huge amount of planning. Very cool. Okay. And that's also the CLIs, everything else I've done, right? I delegate the phase one. And probably you could have been leaner with that if you use GPT 5.5. It's just, that's the truth. Or probably get pretty far with Composer as well. Okay. Reading plan and the Convex guidelines. And this one as well is doing the storefront phases 2 to 6. Now, what I do want to do in the meantime is go over here. Let's have a look at our backend. So let's go to our data. And you can see we have our tables. Look, categories, favorites, order items, orders, products, and users. And if we go to our functions, we can also see, look, we already have our backend functions. How cool is this? Look, we've got post, clerk webhook, post, stripe webhook. We've got the products, right? So in this case, the list, get by slug, categories, and so forth. Seed catalog, right? So it's already gone ahead and started to do some of this for us. And as well as these functions. Now, what makes Convex different from other things, like if you were to simply go ahead and have Next.js routes, well, in this case, each one is an individual cloud function effectively being deployed and live right now. So in this case, for example, post clerk webhook, this will be live right now, yeah, at the site URL /clerk webhook. So if I was to look at the code, right, so this one here, the site URL, so this one, this site URL /clerk /webhook would literally be this, and same with this stripe webhook, and they're both going to be accepting post requests. That's crazy. And by the way, that's live right now, so you can actually test that out, right? So you got the files and the logs as well, which I don't believe we're doing much. Yeah, I'll say in this case it's saving, you know, deploying functions and so forth. Okay, but so far not bad. Okay, now let's see. Look, okay, couldn't do the phase one deployment. Okay, interesting. Right, so let's see this, and this is where the subagents are good and bad, I guess, but let's see how it works. So this one is now building through editors helpers.ts, and same with this one. Let's see what this one's doing. So Convex categories, storefront UI is a stand cart. So this is doing everything front facing, and you see it's already starting to add the code in, right? And this is where it gets very, very cool. So if we do Command D and we go over here, and you can see the actual extent to what's going on. So if we go to here, changes, and we do a diff check, right? Now look, there's a lot of changes, guys, right? So if we go in, now obviously this is going to take forever to go through all of this. So instead you can start looking at individual files if you want to get, you know, an insight, but you can see, look, our layout.tsx starting to get changed up. Papa Mart, a friendly neighborhood grocery mart. Toast has been added in. If we look at our main page, look, ensure user. I'm not sure why they've done this. Use mutation, ensure fired ref. I hate this. No, I hate that. That is awful. My stuff like this, no, this is awful. I would never accept this in a code review, right? So this is, I don't know what. Oh, I think it's done it as to make sure that the backend is synchronized. I think it's going to synchronize. Yeah, okay. It's an upset, basically. That's, you can do it a better way, but I can see why it wanted to do that. Not terrible, but it's not the best way either. Okay. And you can see that now we have 3 agents running. Hey, this is getting cooler. All right, we have a code review reviewing the first phase. This is quite cool. All right, so now we have the first agent doing, and these are all Opus, yes, they are burning tokens. I get that. But in this case, this is just a cool way to show you guys how it's working, right? Now, and each one has access to our different skills and all that stuff. Hi, I'm Pratham. I'm using a different account for inspiration from your video. Product clone. I also built the clone of the product and named the dev. Nice, cool. That's awesome, dude. Okay, so we're just about to hit the 2-hour mark. We're doing pretty awesome so far. Quick little water break. We've been doing craziness over at the Papa Fam. Honestly, the developments we're making now with agentic workflows, everything, it's nuts. Okay, so files and scope. This one is for the review. I want to more so focus on the employee conversation. Let's see how far this one's getting. This one's making good leeway. Cool. Yeah. So again, how would I basically, please get me to speed? Where did you just do the multi-agent setup? So multi-agent was basically in Cursor, you have this multitask option, just how you do shift tab through the different modes. So one of them is multitask, right? So what I did is I created a plan, and then I enabled multitask, and I said split and parallelize the task, right? So the plan, sorry. So now we have one agent running to build the storefront, one agent building the admin, and one reviewing the foundation code. So this one is basically going through the foundation code and basically checking things out. And then these ones here are going ahead and implementing the actual functionality of the app. Okay, so this one is now in, yeah, this is really cool, right? Cool. So in that case, let that do its thing. And again, you can come through. And what I typically do, and I'm trying to show you genuinely how I work, right, is I will come into here and I'm mainly looking at individual specific things, which I kind of have come to know where errors can kind of pop up and so forth. Now, some of those, for example, if I look at the helpers, let's see what they're doing here. Promote to admin. So this one is more of a helper function, yeah. Cart store, let's see what they're doing for the carts. This is the stand, middleware, cool. We have quality, okay, quantity, sorry. Use cart store, yeah. It's just setting up state for the stand. And we have partialize, which means it's only going to go ahead and store in local storage the user ID and the items, because we don't want to store the entire state every time. That's good, okay? And these are all standard things. Again, we should have been committing per phase, by the way. So that was my bad. We should be committing, and I should have been part of the instructions, commit per phase. What I'm doing right now is messy, right? You shouldn't do that, right? Again, is auth required route versus is public route, okay? So if it's a public route here, for example, you can see, look, categories, product search, membership, and so forth, cart, checkout, orders, favorites, onboardings. So these are all auth required routes. So if we try and go there, simply run auth.protect, okay? So Mustafa says, from glance, it seems one agent is the conductor and the others are the orchestrator. Yeah, 100%. So basically, we have a main agent. So effectively, this top agent here is the main agent. And then we have 3 sub-agents running. And this is the flow you'll see, whether it's OpenClaw, Hermes, whether it's coding agents like these, Cursor, Antigravity, all of them follow this similar pattern. Funky says, at the moment, nature is like, I will let you send message to let Sunny see it, but not let you hear the reply from it. I'm not sure what he's saying. While he is working your request. I'm not sure what the question is, but yeah. Right now, in this case, we can see, oh, my neck. We can see here, let's see how far it's getting. So it's checking on our agents. This one is halfway done. And we have the storefront over here. Now, you're probably wondering, you know, oh my God, but Sunny, how do you know what code is happening right now? Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's the reality. Okay, yes, we don't, but we're prepped. We're equipped very well to know that these agents know how to code because, one, we're using a solid model, very good model, the best effectively. And 2, we've given it the appropriate skills and plugins to know the tech stack. So it knows what it's doing effectively. So if we go to the changes, which is changes here. You can see, look, let's look at some of these random ones. For example, Convex admin. A lot of this is backend stuff. So look, review came back. I'll surface the review file when it comes back. Code review. Reviewed the all phase ones verdict. Let's look at the verdict. Let's look at what it said. So found a couple of issues. Hi, sync from Clerk can overwrite a real email with the following. When a Clerk user event arrives with no email address, the code defaults to that and merely warns, which is bad, right? So we don't want to do that. Compared to ensure current, which correctly guards with the branch needs the same guard. And arguably the webhook should not even call sync from Clerk. So again, with this approach, ensure current here, I'm going to try and have a little conversation here where they're saying the agent mentioned the following function. Yeah, ensure current. Is this really the best way to handle user upsetting if they're not present in the database? There must be a much cleaner way, perhaps using Clerk webhooks. So really, what we should be doing is actually going ahead and doing the 1 minute. So holding on remediation to avoid erasing the in-flight storefront. Yeah. So what's going to happen is now it's basically holding this kind of side context, right, in the side of things, because what it's doing is it don't want to change things because otherwise it's going to clash. So there's a lot of things happening at play here, right? So I'm having a conversation with the main thread while these threads are happening. And if we start changing files now in the back, these are going to get effectively in horrible states. We don't want to do that. So we can have a conversation with it, but we don't make the change until these agents come back, right? So these are things that we really want to kind of nail down on and get understood. So, And sometimes, honestly, if you look at the thinking, it goes a bit nuts. So why webhook alone is if you delete ensure user rights only on sync from Clerk, you hit 4 failure nodes. See race window, right? Local dev, webhook misconfig. Clean alternative in order, increasing on refactor option A, keep the backstop, fix existing bugs. Move the backstop to server-side. That's cleaner, actually. This is the cleanest mainstream pattern for next route today. Option B is the best so far. Option BC plus H for review. So when appropriate, let's go with option B to refactor. All phase one flights on safety in parallel. So if it finds that it's going to be appropriate now, it will basically go ahead and do that, right? Whereas if it finds that it's going to break these things, then of course it's not going to do that. So this is why the multitasking mode is very good. So now let's go ahead and see what it says. We got love hearts flying in the chat. I appreciate you guys. I can literally see in the corner of my eyes, it's like love hearts flying out. Queuing the option B refactor to fire the storefront worker. Tracked will dispatch the option B refactor subagent. The moment the storefront worker returns, this is what I like about this flow, right? Because before I was managing this manually, but this is quite good. So if we look at the storefront worker, we should be quite close. 5 of 9, right? So we've got loads of things happening here, right? 5 of 9. Let me look at carefully what Y types are not inferred. Let me try. And you see how it's remembering when I talked about how to go ahead and type in things correctly. Don't be retyping type-safe definitions, TypeScript definitions, and so forth. Okay. Also, I want to get your feedback on something, guys. When I'm live, would you like it if I did a casual live stream every week as well? So these tend to be like intense builds where we're kind of going crazy and building things. But what about if I was to also maybe build a bit more, like kind of jump through things and so forth? Like kind of what's updated this week and just talk casually. Like there's no objective of the live stream. It's more a case of just going through the latest and update, like latest stuff. Could be 5 minutes, could be 5 hours, but it's going to be a live stream that we basically just cover a bunch of stuff and just chat and hang out every week. That would be kind of cool, I feel. But I want to know, is that going to be valuable or is it just fluff to you guys? Yelona says, have you already explained how the different modes work? How do you use the plan mode and multitasking modes? Yes, I did. Plan mode is your initial starting point. You want to start with plan mode to get all of the things. Basically, you want to not burn through tokens, building bad solutions. Plan mode allows us to clear that up in the beginning by having a clear outline, get through some of the things, and basically go back and forth and debate before we build the main work. Then from there, you can either execute it normally in agent mode, or you can switch to multitask mode and have it parallelize the project, in which case is what we did. Which meant it discovered that phase 1 was essential for any agent to be working on. So it done that singular. Then it found, okay, we can split now into admin and also into the storefront side of things. So that's where multitasking comes in clutch. All right, Leslie says, maybe a Q&A. Yeah, I think a Q&A is pretty cool. Let me know though, like, how do you think that would look to you guys in the most effective way? And then what I thought would be pretty cool is we can literally clip certain parts from it and make them really easy to find and easy to watch videos. So I can basically, if we cover a really interesting point in that live stream, cool, clip that part. And you've now got a 30-minute video where I'm talking about just that part. I think we can get somewhere really nice with this. So let me know what your thoughts are on that, right? 109 files. This is probably one of the biggest kind of working things I've ever done in a live stream in one go. And I think it'll be very cool to show you guys because I've gotten much better in my sort of agentic workflow. So this is why I can work like this and basically trust the output of it. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, so storefront is almost done. And also same with the admin as well. Very nice. Okay, so while that's there, I'm going to go and spin up another browser window. So let's go ahead and pull this one over here. And I've got so many screens open. I need to pull this up. So go here, and I'm going to go ahead and do localhost. And let's build an awesome Papa Mart, right? So this is very, very simple UI. Nothing really happening. Phase 1 validation in place. Storefront search and admin will arrive in later phases. So at this point in time, nothing is really here, except because these other agents are basically working on a bunch of stuff, right? So, and also You guys enjoying this music? I don't know if I should change it to, let me change it to the, we had a lo-fi one that I kind of liked the other day. But I don't know if you guys liked it, but let me know. I will change it. If not, it's a bit sleepy, but lo-fi beats essential. Let's try this one. It's kind of cool, right? Mix it up a little bit. Okay, so the admin is now, the storefront is now done. And you can see if we go to the homepage, oh, look at this. Okay, so we got some stuff happening here. Again, minimal sleek is what I asked for. Papa Mart, shop, membership, orders. Click on membership. We have nothing here at the moment because we haven't set up Clerk billing, right? So go back over to the front and then let's go ahead and see. You see, like this is now the summary from the first agent, or actually the admin. It's complete with row gated layout, dashboard, and full CRUD for products. Right, all backed by Convex admin mutations that re-verify the role as admin on every call, which is good. Okay, so now if we go to localhost/admin, let's just see, do we hit this? So Clerk API response error, let's have a look. Okay, so maybe it hasn't pushed it yet, but if it hasn't, then we can go ahead and fix that afterwards. And again, this is where we have to test as well. And again, the reason why we don't see any categories or anything yet is because we haven't seeded any data in, right? So this is going to go 0 to 100 real fast. Like that's the cool part about these builds, which I really like. So admin worker done, awaiting the storefront one to complete before dispatching the queued option B, refactor, and phase 8 verification. So this last one here is fixing a few lint errors. Cool. And then in the meantime, what we could do is actually give this the admin error. So I can go ahead and copy this and I can say /admin gave me this error, right? You can go ahead and pop that in. And you see how it doesn't interrupt any of the subagents. It's like the main agent thread can go ahead and navigate and understands that, okay, this one is working on here. User is getting a not found from the get token. Quick foreground diagnosis is a Clerk JWT template config issue, not a code bug. Let me confirm. So the real issue is that the admin there is requesting a JWT template called Convex, but the actual Convex setup uses application ID Convex, which is a newer integration pattern that works with the default session token directly. I should remove that template argument entirely. So this is, yeah, they did change their Clerk Convex integration style. They probably trained on some old data. The code is correct. That is the Clerk dashboard issue. So declares application, which means the Convex deployment expects JWTs with ASMP Convex. So in this case, let me check if the Clerk MCP, whether the template exists and create. If not, single fix, no code change needed. So fastest Clerk dashboard fix is open the Clerk dashboard for this app. JWT template is the new template. And then we need to pick the Convex preset. So we've already done this though. That's the thing. So Clerk, if you'd rather not click around dashboard, Clerk CLI skill wraps Clerk API, including JWT template. I can drive that for you if you like. After the template exists, you also need to be marked admin. So we've already done it, but again, because I screwed up a little bit of the connection with the Stripe projects part of it, plus the Clerk CLI, that could have been a bit of a reason why this is failing. So let's try and give it the CLI access to do it itself. So here I'm gonna say, try to fix this yourself with the Clerk CLI. And I'll show you what it's talking about with that. So we can go to configure.clerk, configure over here, and then down to the developer integrations. So this one here, manage integration, and you can see this is the one that we've set up, but I do find that sometimes it will default to, or AI will default to the previous session handling, this one here. So sessions, JWT templates, add new template. You see this one here? And then you'd have to add a Convex one. So if you click on add new template, they actually have templates for each one. Now, I think we need both, if I'm correct, but I'll load the Clerk CLI tool and it will actually create that for us. We're round tripping through a sub-agent would add more latency in the work itself. So it's going to do this part itself. And now it's going to go ahead and do that. Use the Clerk CLI. And again, you notice how it's still working with the sub-agent in the background. Quite cool. And then let's go ahead and see. We can also click this to see the terminal where it's running. Read terminal, plan next move. So I want to see if it actually creates this JWT template for us. And there's also something new down here. Build faster with customizable authentication, billing, and organization commands. These are the new ones that we recently played with. Task choose, task reset. Oh, this is actually very, very new, I think. We've done a couple of these, but there is a customization here. Parents, localization, user profile. Nice. This is very, very, if you want to go ahead and customize the user profile or org profile page or component, you can feel free to use that one. So let's see, go back. Let's have a look over here what this is done. So our subagent just finished its work. Convex categories. This is for the storefront, I believe. So if we go back, let's go over here. Let's go to Papa Mart. Cart favorites, checkout and orders, membership, now done. And then it will report that back. So you see how it's finished, but now there's a queue, okay? So what's happening now is there's a queue before it's able to report back. So effectively, this is the one where it finished before. No, not here. So what we have now is it's doing our clerk command here, and then the agent that just finished the multitasking will then come back once this work is done. Okay, so I probably should have done this myself instead of giving it the CLI to do it. We could have probably figured this one out ourselves, but let's just give it a second, try and let it do its thing. So with longer wait, I'm just gonna say leave. Let me handle the clerk part. You continue with the subagent finishing. And then I'm going to force this in. So storefront worker is still in flight. I'll dispatch from. So there you go. And you see how now the subagent finishes. So I really like this because before it was, I see you. Before it was something which you would have had to go ahead and coordinate yourself. And trust me, if you screw this up, you get into a massive headache. And right now, notice how we're not even using Worktrees. So we're able to have parallel agents and still not clash in a nice way, right? So storefront worker done, dispatching the queue, option B refactor now in the background. So let's look at what this one did. So this one set, none is required to run end to end. So this needs to happen as well. All of the Stripe secret keys, Stripe webhooks. Remember, all of this still needs to happen from our side of the setup, right? Clerk billing must expose a plan with key feature free shipping. Otherwise, auth has this, right? So we need to set this up. And there's a couple of things here. So while this is happening, it should, here we are. So you create the following. So now while I've got that open, I'm going to go to configure.clerk. And then I want to dashboard.clerk, right? And then we need to do the following. So create the Convex JWT template. So we're in the right one. And then we're going to go to our sessions. JWT. I'm going to create a template. Let's go ahead and do Convex. Let's go ahead and this is all correct. Save. And then confirm the clerk billing exposes a feature with key exactly free shipping. So that we don't know. Actually, we don't need that. So this is not the correct way of doing it. So you can do this and then maybe go into, this is not a good way of doing this. So here we can say, you should be using the clerk billing SDK has functions to check this instead of checking JWT templates. So you see how we push back on that? And then while that's happening, we can go ahead and carry on with the Stripe dashboard setup. So head over to Stripe, which is down here. And I think this is the right one. So this is where it gets a bit tricky for me because I'm not sure if this is the correct sandbox. Papa BNB sandbox, test sandbox. So here I need to quick foreground she has unrelated to billing. Let me show you I'm confused two streams in the code. And then you environment local side next. There's a couple of annoying things where it keeps trying to go to an emb local. Well, I don't want to use emb local. I want to use the emb file. So this one, if we had a look at these two files and put them next to each other, you can see Convex deployment is cleanbo 763, public. This one is cleanbo 793. This is all correct, the same. So realistically, if we were just even to copy this in, it wouldn't actually break anything. So we can just go ahead and put that in, right? So at this point, just to satisfy this weird corner case that we're in, these are actually the exact same. So we can pop those in. Okay, Convex environment variables need to be set. So I can drive these once you give me the values, or you run them locally, stripe secrecy. So we need to set these all up. So let's see. Quick forward, let me answer. Confirm the code already has clerk billing. Two independent concerns that I conflated. Apologies. So resolves the entity. Right, you need to confirm the billing feature exists with key. If it doesn't, clerk. Refactor done. Okay, so we only need to confirm if a billing feature exists with the key free shipping. So the way you do that now is go over to Clerk, and this is basically the plans. So everyone starts on a free plan when they sign up, but if we go to Clerk configure at the top, we've enabled billing already. Now what you want to do is click on create plan, and we're going to have our, we can call this whatever you want, but Papa Mart, let's just imagine you're a Papa Mart Pro or Papa Mart Plus. Plus is more like suitable, yeah? And then for the description, you can say like the Plus membership for the weekly shoppers or something, right, whatever you want to do there. And then you can enable the free trial if you want. In this case, we're not going to do that. Publicly available, because I want to show you something pretty cool here. But the monthly base fee, we can say this is going to be like $7.99 a month. But if you have to pay up front, it could be discounted to $5.99 in one payment. And then the features, this is the part that they're talking about. So free shipping is what we needed to enable here. So free shipping. And what they were asking is to make sure that the key was free shipping here, right? So in this case, unlocks free shipping for Plus members. Okay, and then publicly available means it comes on to the pricing table. So click on create feature after that, and then save. So by doing that, now what will happen if we go back to billing setting, here we are. So now if we go to manage plans, you can see we got the free user and then we got the Plus member, but you'll notice that a Plus member would get given the features down here. And if we look into this, we can see, if we click on edit feature, you'll see that unlocks the key free shipping for them, which means it would satisfy this. So you see, if it doesn't, has simply follows, where is it? So confirm the billing feature exists with the key free shipping. And you can see that here, session has feature free shipping. So you'll get this key assigned to your user if you go ahead and upgrade. And we already have the upgrade route built out for us now. So if we go to localhost and we go to membership, you can see now that Plus comes up, right? So if I now you can see that free shipping, if I subscribe, boom, we have a full payment flow. Now this is an annoying issue that happens as well. So this happens when we have set Z index of 50 or whatever it is on the page that we render the checkout flow for. So it's a small bug we can fix afterwards. But for now, we can see that pay test account, like say I want to pay annually, we can do build monthly or annually. Say if I just want to do monthly, right? Pay with test card. And this will charge this user. So now this user, if I go into their user profile, I click on manage account, you see security, billing. If I go down to billing, you've got your Plus subscription, as well as everything being handled for you inside of Clerk's dashboard. So if we go to Clerk's dashboard, go to our billing, everyone's like locked in, geez. All right, so in this case, we go to billing. We should see in a second, okay, for a second I thought it was broken, but $7.99 active, there we go, okay. Let me know if you've used Clerk billing before as well. So I'm going to go back into the agent flow. So our plan was huge. That's the problem. So it's kind of taking time to get through it. But here we go down. Let's see where we're at. All implementation, refactor, and static verification is now green. End-to-end manual verification is the last gate, blocked by our Clerk setup. Whenever you're ready, paste the Convex environment variables or tell me to drive the Convex MCP and I'll set them up, run the seed, and we can walk the user journey. So this is really good. So literally we built through everything. The only final steps are we just need to run it through. So Convex is already done. Stripe dashboard we need to do. So I'm going to say, give me the Stripe dashboard link. The reason why I'm doing that is because I have so many Stripe accounts. I want to make sure I'm on the correct one. So give me the Stripe dashboard link. And then after that, we also have to set up the Clerk webhook as well. So we got a few webhooks to set up, and these will kick off every time a key event happens, either on Stripe, like a checkout completes, or every time a user is created on Clerk. Okay, so here we have it. So dashboard Stripe production when you're ready. But I need to make sure I'm on the correct. So I'm just gonna say, I'm not sure I'm logged into the correct account. Give me a way to verify that I am. Okay, so if we go here, test mode webhooks. Let's go to test mode first. And let's open this one up. And I have to log into every single account, every different thing. So let's do this one under my, I think this is the right account. And 1 second, I'm just enabling the autofill. So 3. Okay, my Stripe's not logging me in. 1 second. Okay, so I'm gonna do it in another account, screw it. So here we have it. So I need to go to, I'll show the screen again. Grab this, go back over here, paste it in. And then we can see now I'm logged in. We should be able to get the correct. So here we are. So webhooks, Papa BNB. But my only thing is, I'm wondering, so we go down here, dashboard UI, check the top right account, switch your page to the account name. But is it giving me the account name? Stripe CLI if installed. So we can do this here. Shows the logged in user API key currently in use. And then it shows the accounts that we have access to. So let's do that one in the background. So Command J, we can go ahead and pass in Stripe accounts list. And you can see we recommend building integration with Stripe accounts V2, list blah, blah, blah. V1 accounts. Okay. Oh, I really hope it's not done V1 install of the accounts, because that would be painful if it did do that. Let's see if we did it again. So Stripe config list. So we have Papa BNB. We have my key, and let's look at the key itself. So SKTest51T. So API key. So if we go to 51T. Okay, so we're on the correct account. Is this one. All right, so webhooks. Let's go here now. And let me know in the chat, have you done webhooks before, or do you want me to explain that bit? So here we have the So where is my webhook? Here. Register the webhook, your convex.stripe/Stripe webhook. So add destination, and then we need to do your account, and then API version, the latest, and then which events are we connecting to. So in this case, subscribe to checkout session completed. So J8 says done using Convex HTTP. Yeah, it's really nice with what we're doing here. So checkout.session completed, and also we need expired. Okay. And the rest of the Convex Stripe quick start event list. So give me that. Let's say here, give me the event list, right? We can check that as well, but it'll help us out if it just gives us that. So here it is. Oh wow, it's a long list. Okay, so we need to enable all of these. Okay, so let me pull that in. Yeah. Okay, we see this one. Explain webhooks for those who don't know how it works. Cool. I'll do that in 1 sec. So checkout session completed. We need all of these as well. So customer, these are all events that basically Stripe will have, right? So when a customer is created, when a customer is updated, when a checkout session is completed, or if it expires, or whatever the case. So because Stripe knows obviously when it does these things, because it's the one that does them, we can tap into those events as they fire off. And when they fire off, what it's called is a webhook, right? So basically a webhook fires off, and then from Stripe side, when that webhook fires off, we can say, okay, when you do that event, go and send some information to a URL that we choose. So the URL that we choose is our webhook, right? So what we're doing is we're subscribing to these events, and then basically anytime that any of these things happen, we can basically say, okay, I wanna do something on my side, right? So all of the events that you see here are all things which we're effectively making sure when it happens on Stripe side, it's gonna go ahead and ping us, right? So invoice.paid, invoice.payment failed, and same for Clerk, right? So every time someone signs up, we can go ahead and maybe synchronize the user in a database or anything like that. So these are all things that you can basically tap into, and that's known as webhooks. You can create your own webhooks. You can basically have all these things. So if you ever create an SDK, that's what you are creating. Payment intent succeeded, and also payment intent, payment failed. Okay, so quick little check. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 plus 13 for us. So let's just have a quick look. Session completed, expired, which is for R1. Created, updated, subscription created, deleted, updated, invoice finalized, created, paid, invoice finalized, paid, invoice payment failed, payment intent succeeded, and payment intent payment failed. Cool. Okay, so that's all of the ones that we needed to cover. And then I can close that one, and we can see here's the full 12 event list. So we also covered expired as well, but in this case it's fine. So required by Papa Mart. So 13 is when you create, select all 13, yeah. And then we click on continue. And then we want a webhook endpoint. And then destination name, we can call this one anything really. We can call this one Papa Mart webhook, or Papa Mart, yeah, webhook, I guess. Or Convex. Let's call it the Convex webhook handler, or whatever you want to do. And then for the endpoint URL, this will change based on which environment you're in. So right now we're in a test environment, see the sandbox. I'm also testing it inside of a payment, like, you know, our environment right now is our test one. So what you want to do is your next public site, Convex site URL. So the one that you want to look for is the one that ends in .site, okay? And it's /, and then it's going to be, if we look up over here, they gave it to us earlier, but it's going to be /, and you can see it in the code if you really don't know where to go. So you go into your app API, it will be inside of, where is it? Convex, sorry. HTTP Stripe webhook. So / Stripe webhook. And we can confirm that by seeing here, like, / Stripe webhook. So / Stripe / webhook. Okay. Now after that, you can give a description if you want. We know what it is, so it's fine. We don't need to do that. And remember, not .cloud.site, right? Create destination. Now we have this, right? So this is now our webhook connected. This will give us something called a signing secret. And this is very important, right? You don't share this, right? I'm obviously going to invalidate these, but this is like supposed to be secret. Now, once you have that, we need to basically put the secret somewhere. So you can go ahead and say where to put secret, WH secret, and basically it will be either in the Convex or our environment variable, depending on how it's been built out. I believe it's going to be inside of Convex. So Convex environment variables, yeah. Webhook signing secret, site URL, site. Okay, cool. So in this case, 2 ways to set it.
right? So we can set it ourselves like this or via the Convex dashboard. So we can actually do it this way and it's quite clean. So if I do Command J and I do Command K, or no, do a new terminal and I paste this in now. So I'm going to set this and it will ask me for a value. And what we can do is we can just grab this value, copy it, come back over here, Command J, and we can paste it in, right? And now it's set that on my Convex backend, right? So Jay is actually on holiday. So in case I keep seeing people asking, hey, I'm not seeing Jay interacting with how you did. Yeah, Jay's actually on holiday. He's long needed break. He's in Philippines swimming with sharks. So yeah, I was sending me messages. OE says, what do you prefer, Convex or Supabase? Right now, I'm loving Convex. Honestly, it's too powerful. I use it for a ton of stuff. Right, so that's done. And after that, we need to set up the others. So Stripe secret key. So these ones, it can actually set up itself. So okay, so I'll say I handled Stripe webhook secret. Can you handle the rest? Right? And I'm saying can you because we've set up the plugin already. So at this point, it will be able to do it. So the MCP is really powerful because with the MCP, it can actually go into our Convex and set things up for us. We've got the Stripe CLI, it can go into Stripe and grab the environment variables, and it can go into Clerk CLI because it has the Clerk CLI too. So this is where it can be pretty awesome, except for the webhooks. The webhooks part we need to do ourselves. I think it can actually do it itself, but in case you're wondering. Yeah? So run status in Convex. So you see, look what it's doing. It basically checked for environments. It went ahead and grabbed our environment, and then it's going to go ahead and get our environment list. So in this case, it found the webhook secret. It found the Clerk front-end API URL. And then it's going to run a set command. So it's going to run the site URL as localhost 3000, right? Look at this. Most of us MCP are absolute game changers. Thanks to Anthropic for this. Anthropic's the one that led the movement, and of course the companies create their own MCPs. So yeah, this is definitely pretty cool, right? And now it's basically verified everything. Still need from you Stripe secret key, now and the Clerk webhook signing secret. So webhook signing secret, Clerk webhook signing. Okay, so Stripe secret key that we can get from here. So open. So we can go ahead and do it this way. Now, again, should you go ahead and ever paste it inside of an LLM? No. Am I being lazy right now? Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. But or I can show you the proper way of doing it. Let me go back. Here we have our secret key. I copy the secret key. And then I can do, like, once you have your secret key, secret keys and child. And so you don't want to do this, yeah? So don't do this part. But again, like, if you want to do this correctly, you just say, okay, give me the command to set this in Convex or whatever you want. In this case, you've already seen my secret key, so it's fine. In this case, it's a test one. I'm going to invalidate it. That's one Clerk webhook signing secret. We're going to go ahead and set up afterwards, right? So Stripe key. Then tell me how to handle Clerk webhook, right? And I'm doing this because I want you guys to see how you can do it yourself. But really, all you need to do is very simple. You go to Clerks configure. Go down here to configure, go over to developers, webhooks, and you can set the webhook up here. Okay, but obviously I want to show you in case how you can do it yourself. Okay, so here you go, add endpoint, and then same thing, right? So it's going to be, key is now in the chat history, yeah, see, rotate it. Okay, Clerk webhook, we've already set this up, add endpoint URL is this one. Boom, over here. And then that's your Convex deployment. The Clerk webhook route is already mounted. Yes, we already set that up earlier. Subscribe to 2 events. So we need user.created and user.updated. And this is properly done. So this is the way I would do it if I was to do something in production. Click create. Then it will give us a Clerk signing secret. So create. And here we have it. Signing secret. Brother, when will you push change? The repo should be up to date. Oh, yeah, you're right. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you're right. We just did a lot. But I will push this now. Right, but he is absolutely right. So at this point, paste it here. And again, you shouldn't put this in the chat, but it's fine for now. Clerk webhook secret. I'm invalidating it. I'll say it 1,000,000 times. Right. So that's now created. So we have a Clerk webhook set up. And again, every single one of these is in its environment development right now. So what you would do is once you have your production set up, you'd create a Stripe production, and then all your keys would rotate for your production environment. You'd have one for Clerk, you'd have one for Convex, and you'd have to set your environment variables again. Why is it so game changer right now? CLI has access to all of this, right? So we have a Convex CLI, we have a Clerk CLI, we have a Stripe CLI, all aware of other projects. So you can basically say, okay, I'm going to go to production now. Can you do a sanity check and basically just make sure everything's mapped correctly? And it gets better because you can even do this with Vercel's integrations. So even if you're on preview branches, it will have the correct preview environment. So that used to be a real kind of head mash, but now you have a luxury of doing it yourself through integrations, plus through skills being installed as well. Okay. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and we can see that all 5 Convex environment variables are in place. Seed ran correctly. That's perfect. That's what I wanted. Clerk billing, Clerk Convex JWT on still required for the admin checkout server. And then for the Clerk billing, free shipping feature on new phase 6 perk, paste your Clerk user ID, promote your user to admin. So we already have done that, but I want to see if I've screwed something up there. So let's go to our user and let's go ahead and paste it. So let's just see, is this user role admin? Yeah. So this is what we did. I'm wondering if it's going to do something different to us. Okay. So I'm going to paste it in and say user blah, blah, blah is my ID. Environment local, next public app URL. So, and local. So I just want to check one thing now. So environment local, next public app URL. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay. So those two. So these two I need. Give me values. And again, I'm putting them in both for now, just because one is trying to look in .env, one is trying to look in .env local. That's not ideal, but I don't want to spend ages on that. You can ask your AI how to run through that yourself, right? So grab these two. We're going to do GBP for now. So over here, paste that in. I'm going to pop them down here as well. Okay. So that's done. And then here, promoted. So it now did it on Convex. Ah, okay. It did it on Convex's side. That's why it was erroring out. Okay, so if you see inside of category, inside of here, we've got categories that have been seeded in, and then we've got the users now. Sunny, so Clerk user ID, that's my email, that's me, row admin. So we're checking the Clerk row and on this side, the Convex side. But could you do it on the public metadata? Yes. Is it better? In my opinion, yes, because you don't have to check every time. Okay. So that's something to know, right? Clerk billing free feature. So next up, we can say, done the rest of the asks too. Okay. So now it's done the rest of the asks, and we can check if we go to localhost 3000. Go here. Look, firstly, we can see this. This is cool, right? So we have our categories and we have our items. Again, do we have images? No. So we can actually seed in images. So I can say, I want to seed in images and use Convex storage to do so. So use Unsplash or Image Splash, whichever one has copyright-free images, and seed the database again with the correct images. You can pass that in. I'll drive the end-to-end verification, get the dev server, dispatch browser subagent to walk through the public flow and admin gate, stop at the handoff for you to sign in. And then also we say, don't worry about end-to-end test, but you can do that if you want end-to-end test, right? So I'm actually going to push this one now. Don't worry about the end-to-end test because it's just going to burn through tokens. I can test this ourselves with you, as well as the two things that have stopped, right? So now you see we had those original terminals that are running. Okay, I want you to go back and check on two things. Number one, you can see everything is good and Convex functions ready. But just to prove that we're good, run pm backend again. And over here, run pm dev again. And then we should see that everything loads in. So I mean, it loaded both environments, it's fine. Finalizing push. Import images, you can use R2 component by Convex, works pretty well. Yeah, you can use R2. You talking about for images or? Because I've definitely started with Convex for images, and then I tend to go S3 or Cloudflare. Yeah, you can use either or. I've actually done both before. It's been pretty cool. But S3 is obviously, like, a lot of people tend to go S3 way. But Cloudflare are coming up very good, like very quickly as well. Yes, for images, yeah. And then you can obviously put something like an optimization layer in front of it, like Optimizely, or I forget the names of them all, but there's so many. I've also done a couple of videos on the channel. Delegate into a focus. This is multi-file work, curating URLs, refactoring the seed. So in this case, now it's going to go ahead and do that. So we can actually test the basket. So let's click on, like, for example, bakery. We didn't have search as well. It's interesting. Sourdough loaf. You can see the add to cart. Boom. Oh, that's nice. And I can save it to my favorites as well. I can go to my favorites. I can see my favorites. I can open this up. We have our sour. This is already very nice. Add a shipping address. We need a delivery address before you can check out. So in this case, let me go ahead and do, I'm actually going to just hide my screen for a second in case my address pops up. But if I did like 123, developer lane, ABC town, just say Dubai, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's do country. Okay, I mean, it's done United Kingdom, so let's just do London. So we're assuming we're in London for this one, right? And then phone, I'm just going to do plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Used by the courier on delivery day. So in this case, I popped in the following. Now we have a shipping address, and you can see, look, pay with Stripe. Free for members, calculated on Stripe. So sourdough loaf, £7, and subtotal. The shipping is calculated at the time. I'm just guessing we're using Shadtians because start shopping and is giving that. Yeah, we are using it. Again, like, you can really go crazy with the design element here, but we're just doing it for simplicity's sake. Pay with Stripe. Now, if I click this, couldn't start checkout. Checkout failed. Now let's see why. So you can hear that could not find public function for create pending. Did you forget to run npx convex deb? So interesting. So let's go ahead and pop this error in now. And this is where you do a smoke test and you want to check everything out. So while it's doing that, we can pass in this. And again, the power of the multitasking agent flow is very good here. So this was, of course, I could have actually given it more context and said when I tried to pay with Stripe. But as a public function, it's internal, even though the server action is wrapping it as public mutation, Convex is rejecting the call. So in Convex, you have two things. You have an internal and a normal function. A normal function is publicly available, which is even the case when you're accessing it from a server function. Remember, that's still external. The only time you can use an internal with another is within another Convex cloud function. So you can't from your Next.js do that. So the fix is small, more defined, promote those two functions to public, delegating to a focus subagent so it doesn't tangle with the implied seed work. And you see how it knows about the different files and no conflict zones and so forth. Okay, so that's going to do that. Let's see on the agent doing those IDs fabricate, don't resolve. So now it's doing the image unsplash. So soon we should have at the same time our pictures in a moment. So like fix internal FN from server bug. Nice. This is the checkout flow. What's interesting to me is the calculate shipping at checkout. So I'm wondering how that's going to work. So that's going to be an interesting one. 2 background subagents are now running on disjoint files. Okay. And then we can see that again, 2 working. You can go ahead and jump into each one, reading relevant Convex files and so forth. And this is actually done quite a lot. Like, this is kind of crazy, the amount of stuff we did. The only thing that I noticed as well is we didn't have the search. So I can't seem to search as a client on the front end. So I need to be able to have a search bar. This was part of the original plan. So throw that in as well. And again, why is it benefiting? Because multitask is not going to block the main thread. It's going to be able to know how to handle this queue. So to be honest, this is something which I think Cursor has the edge on versus everyone else at the moment, right? You just need to create a search bar on the front end. It's part of the original plan. Let me check the current. And again, like, that's something that I find happens over and over again that doesn't get talked about enough. Plans often drop details. So you need to smoke test it. And I'd typically do is I save the plan so that afterwards I can be like, okay, now verify everything that was built. Use Composer 2.5 and does it way quicker as well. And then I will go ahead and say, any missing pieces, list them out. And then I'll create tickets for them and make sure it gets through. Or again, like I said, if you had linear tickets, you'd be able to catch this beforehand. Okay, so that's Search products is now there. See membership orders. I have no orders at the moment, so that doesn't fail. Yep. We're on the plus plan, Papa Mart membership. And also, while this is happening, let's do localhost/admin. And let's see. So I should, oh, there we go. Look at that. I can see an admin dashboard. Nice. So I've got the dashboard, active products, open orders, customers, number one, and recent orders. Let's look at the products. This is cool. Okay, now we have all of our products. I can see status. I have CRUD flow. Very nice. I can see the different price, stock, unit, censure, style, green tea bags, choose images. Very soon we're going to have a seed function execute, and we can basically go ahead and change this. Let's see, we can do the search over here. Nice. Categories as well. You can click into these. And if we go ahead and do products, so we can't actually see the products that are in the category, but I believe we can do it based here. So category, yeah, you see that? We can actually click it and click it here. That should probably be rendering the friendly view. And then you got the orders, the customer as well. That's really nice, right? And then the role is of that customer is admin. That's super cool. That's actually a full-fledged admin panel. Very nice. And you can see like Shad Tian, we had no problem getting the sidebar responsive for mobile use. Okay, so that's looking good. Now we can see that checkout flow is unblocked. Try fresh checkout in the session. Let's go ahead and do this. So, two background storage now. But please push them at this stage. Okay, all right, I promise. Let me do a checkout and then I'll push, right? Proceed to checkout. Pay with Stripe. And then I just want to make sure it's, look, so you see, look at that. Look, it says recent orders pending and it came through real time. I want to hide something quickly because I'm not sure. I just need to check if my, okay, so my card details don't come through. Cool. All right. So firstly, look, sourdough loaf, quantity to £3.50 each. I need to test the multi-line works, but that's cool, right? So if we go back, I want to see the open orders and we can see, you see how it didn't finish that because we're not done yet. So let me quickly grab a couple of items. So we've got multi-line. So it would be cool if I could add the product from here as well. So code brew, let's go ahead and do, for example, drinks. And I've already done that. Let's do fresh produce, bananas, add to cart, boom, boom, save. Go to our checkout. Very nice. Proceed to checkout. This is cool. Pay with Stripe. Now, let's see. Oh, look at that. Cool. All right. And we should have images here as well. Okay. So next step is I'm going to put the card details in. Again, I'm hiding my details, but because I'm not sure if it's going to pop up, but I'll show you in just 1 sec. So, ABC. Okay. So what you can do here is when you're testing in Stripe test mode, like so you can see sandbox, you want to make sure you do 4242424242, and then the rest don't matter, right? Click on pay. Now I want to see in the backend before I do this, you can see that I've got 2 orders that are open. That's interesting. So if we had an existing order, maybe it should have canceled the old one. So that's something which we should probably look at. But if we go ahead and do this, yeah, clerk billing is definitely more friendly here for that. See, look, it paid, and look at that, how it immediately changed on the back end. So now that's paid. We have the Stripe session. We have the payment intent. We have everything. The Stripe, the shipping was free because they're a pro, right? View order. The client can see their shipping. So like sourdough loaf, code brew, bananas, shipping to this following. Their shipping was free because they're a member. And then on the back end, we can see everything. That's super clean. That's the address I put in, right? Super clean. Now over here, so that's something interesting. If you start a checkout and you don't finish it and you start another checkout, what happens to the old checkout? So potentially some form of expiration, right? I believe it is already accounted for, but still, right? And then of course, if you click into a customer, I'd like to see the orders for said customer, and you can add search and so forth, but already not bad, right? So now if we just want to see something now, the bananas, for example, like the stock, 197, right? So we can obviously buy more. So let's do our search and test if that worked. There you go, search works. Add to cart, let's buy 2 bananas and check out. So this should go down to 195 once we finish payment. So I want to handle that right now. So 195, let's do right now, 42424242, 123, oops, 123, ABC, pay. Okay. Now let's see. So 195, boom, there you go. Amazing. Okay. So product inventory is working well, right? So this works great. Thanks for shopping with Papa Mart. And of course, then at that point, you can tap in the email flow, all that kind of stuff. But look, that's so cool, right? You've got your orders, paid, and pending. So that's interesting. Even there it shows. So again, you can iron that one out yourself, right? I'm not going to go through that bit. I kind of want to get to the more juicy stuff, so it's more interesting. But the main thing is that I'm interested in is the seed. It's not working. So let's go. Let me verify all 20 Unsplash URLs. So very shortly, we should have all of our URLs come through, and then you'll see everything pop through. Now, my focus here is twofold. Like, I don't want to go heavy on design because I feel like the design, you can come up with a design. You can, there's million ways, million videos on how to design something with Claude and Claude design and all that stuff. I would rather focus on something cool like an AI suggestion, right? So when we're in, for example, Code Brew Coffee, how can we get like AI suggested products here? Like that would be cool to be like, okay, similar products to Code Brew Coffee. Now, how can we get that, right? So what we're gonna do is once we get this down, we're gonna set that as a target, and then that's gonna be our target goal. We also had one more thing. I think it was, I don't know if I'm gonna do that in this build now. So if we go to our, what was it? AI recipe generator widgets. So I've done widgets in another build, but if I'm honest, I think it might drag a little bit now. I think the main thing I would rather do is the suggestions, because it will teach you how to do vector embeddings. And I think that's going to be more useful. So you guys let me know what you guys want interested in, but I think vector embeddings is going to be really, really cool for you guys. Okay. So checkout flow is unblocked. And also look, bear in mind, right, we did two things, right? So not only did we have the search, right? And again, that you can fix, little tweaks, right? But not only did we have the search, but we had the membership, which is really cool. So the membership, because we are in Plus, we didn't get charged, right? Whereas let's go sign out now. And let's go ahead and, for example, go and do the following. So this is minor. You can quickly handle that yourself. You just copy that in, it'll fix it. Green tea bags. Let's say I want to add these to a cart. Let's go ahead and do orange juice, add those. And let's do, for example, checkout. And you see when I check out, because proxy.ts had this as a auth-gated URL, it sent me to sign in. So now if I go ahead and sign into a different account, team@papareact.com, this member is not a pro member or plus member. So they should be paying for shipping now. So we get logged in, and then we should get redirected through to the next part. Cart, there you go. And then interestingly, we lose the cart. So persisting the cart across login state would be something to add in. Okay. So you can definitely add that in. Again, even this part, I would refactor this to a client component, and I would actually add this in here. So that'd be a kind of a nice little addition if I was you guys. All right, so let's grab these two, go over here, look, add a shipping address, 123 Dev Lane, 123 Brick Lane or Brick House. Let's just do London, postal code, blah, 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 and then phone optional, right? Address saved, cool. Pay with Stripe. So now when we go to pay with Stripe, it should give us shipping fees. So come here and you can see we have Code Brew, we have this, and we have shipping, £5, right? So shipping gets appended on. So now that's one way of doing it. Stripe also does allow you to have, I believe, a shipping, actually a shipping thing inside of the checkout flow, where it can do it based on location, a few things like that. I'm not going to get into that, but you can feel free to look at that yourself. All right, I'm going to push the code, I promise. Okay, so next up, I just want this to go through the seed part. So verify everything. Okay, it's going madness with this OG image. Give this kind of cool CDN URL. So it's a bit overkill. I'll be honest. It probably just burned through a bunch of tokens for no reason. It's trying to find real verified photo IDs. Oh my God. Okay, that's fine. All right. So at this point, what I can do is let this finish, then I'll push it. Otherwise, it's going to be pushing something which is kind of not finished completely. And also, let's have a final look at the to-dos. So 9 out of 9 was the final part. Storefront, everything is done. You see how many things we've done here, right? And then what I would even do is I would say at this point, when you're ready to push again, you should not be pushing this huge of a PR in one go, not 14,000 lines of code, but you should be making a PR at this point or like per phase. So really at every phase, I would have had it so my agents created a PR, then it automatically code reviewed with a fresh instance of an agent using Superpowers plugin. And then I would make them loop through to basically fix all the problems that they found. And then you can add self-learning loops here, so you can save things which you constantly are looking for. And then once that's done, I would merge in. That's the typical approach, full transparency, right? Right now, obviously, we're kind of in a different scenario. We need to kind of get this down. So 25 URLs, edited the seed. And here you can see these are basically just like a bunch of like sample pictures. Let me run the verification commands. And now I want to show you actually in real time how this will look. So chances are, unless it's already changed next config, when they pop in, when they see it in, it will actually either fail or it will go ahead and, what's it called? Show us in real time, the actual images popping in. So hopefully it'll do it in real time, but because it'd be very cool to show you. So planning next moves. Let's see, it should create the seed command and then we can go ahead and do it. But I think something which was highlighted today, have I used the multitask feature myself a lot? No, but I saw today, you guys saw for yourself. What do you think of the multitask feature? I thought it was actually very powerful, especially today. Like we pretty much did like the planning. I think you guys saw today, the bulk of the planning was done. And then effectively we got a very clean output, which is fully working, by the way. Like I'm very impressed with the quality of what was done. And then what I would do is I'd get my agents to basically review, do a bunch of code reviews. And also I would check for things like refactoring patterns, nested components, repeated code logic across the app. I would do a refactoring run across. And that is the new way of deving, in my opinion, right? And as opposed to line by line checking every single thing. If you still believe in that, you're going to be left behind. That's the truth, right? Save search results page, okay, yours can be verified, cool. Focus none, nice. Now, that comes back to the main thread. So you can see here, this is how it looks. Look, the main thread comes back. Then our main agent runs the new seed. And look at this, running seed catalogs with images. And look at this, hang on a minute. It should, in a second, load if we did it right. Right, so it's running. And let's see. It's going to take a second when it does that, by the way, because chances are it's going to go ahead and be actually pulling in. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Nice. All right. So I could just have to be patient. That's cool. Look how it brings it to life. Like this is a super clean, minimal store, right? So the basmati rice, sea salt, olive oil, penny pasta. Cool. And now if we were to go ahead and add things in, go through. And of course, you see like right now, it's loading the image every time. You can cache, right? So of course, what I recommend here, you're caching. So Next.js image tags should be used here. Some issues are out of stock or quantities exceed availability. And again, look at that. It's interesting how it held on to two things there. So that's interesting. So why is it doing that as well? So the cart state never cleared correctly. So what we could do here is go ahead and do this. And also cart state never cleared properly when a purchase was completed. Fix this bug and then commit all changes and push. Because yes, I promised you 1,000 times now, because it was previous card. So no, even if it was, think about it, like an edge case could happen, but you shouldn't have this happen, right? So even like the caching of these images, like that massively slows things down, by the way, right? And plus we're on dev as well, yes, but still these should not be doing that. Build against folks. And also say, are we using next image component? Okay. Multi-step that benefits from a single coherent worker. Right, so you know what? I'm not going to do that one. We can do that after. I just want this to finish now so we can push it. So, and after a certain point, to be honest with you, you don't have to be in multitask mode. Like we used it for the main benefit here. Would I stay in it over and over again? No, you don't need to necessarily stay in it over and over again, right? Now, another benefit while this is happening is, while it's going over that, I want to show you in dashboard, we can see our individual monthly recurring revenue metrics from our memberships. And then over at Stripe, we should be able to see our payments. So you guys can see, we go over here now, go to home. We select 71 dirhams. Obviously, I'm in Dubai, it's rendering in dirhams. But if we go to the actual payments, so was it payments? No, it'll be inside of billing, balances. Well, we're inside of Sandbox right now, so that's why it's not going to show. But well, in this case, it created payments, right? But could you? Oh, I guess this was actually maybe. This was possibly done because of the Convex integration, but so this was a charge. The customer, yeah. So it did create a customer, but I don't know if it created a customer object. That's the difference. But even again, once you set these up, you can actually dive into things a bit more yourself, right? But if I go back to the previous one, the charge, see this succeeded, the same customer is there. And what I really wanted to check was the Convex syncing. So once we're inside, let's have a look. So if we go to our categories or orders, right? So orders table is empty, order items is empty. Interesting. Categories is empty. No, so favorites is empty. That's wrong. Production, unless it's pushed into production. No. Okay, so products are there. We have the orders. No, we don't have orders. We don't have order items. So where is the orders being stored? This is wrong. So creation row. We're definitely storing orders, but for some reason it's not showing us the orders unless we have a preview deployment, which I doubt. So this is a strange corner. So unless we wiped it when we did the, yes, okay, that's the thing. So when we did the seed, it probably wiped the order items and the favorites as part of the seed. That's exactly what's happened here. That's why we're stuck in this weird case. Okay, so in that case, to be honest, we just need to wipe our, we're in an edge case that no one would get caught in. That's the truth, right? So if I refresh, sign back in, team at Papa React. Yeah, Vibes Armor, good catch. It was exactly that. It was because of that. So in this case, if we do add to cart, boom, boom. And then we add a couple of these and then we go back. There we go. Right, proceed to checkout. There we go. Our address is saved, pay with Stripe. And now what you should see is in order items, look at this, order items, sparkling water, cold brew coffee. Those are linked to orders. And we've got the had free shipping. We can see, look, so this person doesn't have free shipping. So they pay 42424242, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, ABC. And then come over here. Now, if we look at status pending, this will basically confirm our webhook is working because this will trigger the Stripe webhook, which is connected to our Convex HTTP backend. Boom. There you go. Comes through. That was from the Stripe webhook. Everything worked as it should. Now we click on view order. Look at that. We have this right now. The only thing I would recommend we change here is pass the image URLs to the Stripe checkout if you want to. It's not necessary, to be honest. And also for the order itself, you could pass the image URLs here as well, right? Very, very simple fixes. Now, with that in mind, let's go ahead and do something. So let's do that. Where is it gone? Pix Clark. So look at that. It went into a bloody rabbit hole. So again, that's another thing sometimes where we could just stop that agent. I'm just going to say exit the multitasking mode, commit and push. And let's just push everything, commit and push. All right. So this is a great point, right? So already, by the way, we've built an entire platform with billing. So this has recurring billing. This has a full admin functionality backend. In this case, you see how I tried to go to the admin panel, but I can't go to the admin panel. So if I try to do it as a normal user, it just sends me to this. That's the correct experience, right? You shouldn't even show a non-user that could be where it is, right? It should just get a redirect. So now, if we go to it, you see I'm in a different profile. This is a different arc profile. I'm going to log into an admin account. So my account that I've gone ahead and allowed for. And then you can see that one gets access to this, right? Perfect, right? In this case, I can see everything, paid and fulfilled, customer open orders, and so forth. Okay, so I can see the products. This is great. And then all the orders as well. Okay, I can open it. There you go. And look at it. It comes through here, right? So you can obviously fix that on the other side as well by rendering out the images. But already I'm impressed with this. Like, this is actually really clean, slick, full admin, full app, search functionality. The only thing that would make this incredible is if we had AI suggestions, right? So based on the product that you're in and so forth, right? And you could even do the cart, but if I show you the first part, then you'll know how to do it. Okay. So what we're going to do is, while that's doing that, we're going to go and create a new agent. We're going to do it on the local, but you could have done Worktrees if you're spinning up separate features now and then merge in. And the way you would merge in, typically I would have, I'd create like a feature, Worktree, for example, make sure everything is using next image tags. Then I would do that Worktree on a separate agent. Then I will go ahead and submit a PR, code review it, like I said before, superpower, all that kind of stuff. Then I would go ahead and merge it in, close that chat. That's how I typically work. And I tend to have loads of these chats open at a time, right? And these can happen across, by the way, Claude, Cursor, Codex, it doesn't matter. So at this point, it would be really cool if when we're on a product page, we can see AI suggestions, or instead of saying AI suggestions, it would be really cool to see suggested for you or similar items to this. I think we stick with similar items to this. In order to do this, we need to do vector embeddings. So help me figure out how to do the vector embeddings approach so that we can show the similar items when we're on a product page. And make sure when you do this, if we need to do so, we use the Convex vector store to be able to store our vector embeddings. And typically, I've used Vercel AI SDK in the past. Okay, Vercel AI SDK. It's very good, the Vercel AI SDK. Switch it to plan mode, execute. Let's head back over here and check. All right, so this one is still doing its thing. All right, that's fine. Let that do its thing. All right. Now, while that's planning, quick little look at the chat. Using cursor for this much complex stuff is not a thing to do without a plan. Even the lowest plan, you'll hit really fast. So it's only possible with the highest plan. What do you say, Sunny? I would say if you're doing a plan mode, that obviously the smarter the plan, the better the output. Because realistically, you could have a really nice plan from Opus 4.7 and actually execute pretty well with something like Qwen, a local 36, for example, billion parameter model, like running on a local piece of hardware. That can actually do pretty well. Someone did that in the chat earlier. But if you had a low IQ crappy model, like as in, like a very bad a model in the beginning and it created a bad plan, it doesn't matter if you had Opus 4.7, execute on that bad plan. It's going to basically cause a bunch of crap to come out. Okay, so that 1 second moment when Sunny looked into my sort of jokes. All right, which embedding model would you like to use for the Vercel AI SDK? OpenAI, Cohere. Let's just use OpenAI for now. 15360 dimensions. You could use large if you really want to get it, but that's too cheap for now. All right. How should we provision the API key? Use a Stripe project CLI to link the provider and inject a new environment variable matches the rest of this repo. That's cool. I actually didn't know you could do that. So that's quite cool. Let's try it, right? I usually do it myself, but let's try and see if Stripe projects can do it. These are the chats popping. Let's see. Okay, so let me see how the push is going, right? So, like at this point, I can push myself if we need to, right? Like, okay, what I'd recommend here is that we can stop that, right? So that, and I can go over here to cursor. What would I recommend you actually do here? You properly add a commit message. What am I going to do here? Full transparency and be lazy about it. I'm going to generate a commit message here, which is terrible. Don't do that. Right? I'm doing it because obviously previous agent failed, but realistically, what would I do? I'd have it done properly. But in this case, this is not a good way of doing it. Just full transparency. Okay. Add project. This is not, because that is not what it's doing. Right. I'm just going to say completed, most completed. Yeah. Terrible. Right. And commit. And then I'm pushing. Okay, so now you can pull that down. You have access to everything that we've done so far. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to close that chat. And then I don't know what this music is. This is weird music. Let me go back. We'll go back to our playlist. Okay. So similar items vector embedding. So here we have it. So install dependencies. We're going to use the AI SDK, OpenAI. That's from Vercel. We're going to provision OpenAI through Stripe Project CLI. That's quite cool. Stripe project add OpenAI, and then we can pull the environment variables to get our OpenAI API key, and we can add embedding, yield, and vector index. So this is going to go into products. So you see here we have all the products existing fields. We have the embedding, and then we can do a vector search index. We have our search index. Sorry, we have a vector index, and this allows us to effectively search by embedding. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have no idea. Firstly, go and sign up to the community right now, the waitlist, because I will explain all of this over there. So if you haven't done that already, go do that right now. And secondly, I'll explain it and break it down for you. So think of it this way. Every product has details about it. It has like a description. The more metadata you can give, the more accurate we can convert it to an embedding. Now, what is an embedding? Think of it this way. We take all of that metadata and we basically squeeze it down into numbers, right? Those numbers are effectively like coordinates on a map. So similar things tend to be closely grouped when they become vector embeddings. And then what we do is we do something called a comparison. And all that's doing is it's checking. So if I have fruits, right, regardless if they're different colors, they're all going to be descriptive enough to be considered as fruits. So they're similar to one another. Right? So we can basically be ensured that when we convert those to vector embeddings, those fruits are going to be close together. So when I do a similarity search across the entire database, I'm going to get other fruits pop up. And then it's going to basically be similar suggestions, fruits. Think about how far this can get. We can basically have things like, based on your previous orders, generate a vector embedding. And then basically that vector embedding can be compared against items which could be missing from your basket. And then you can basically get this entire AI suggested flow. Very, very cool. And as to how you can do this. When you work in production, do you check the AI code manually? Yeah, so this is a good question, actually. When I'm doing production work, I am constantly, right, not very minor, I am constantly scanning the code. So I wouldn't just push like I did. I'd submit a PR, then I would do a code review over the entire branch, effectively. And then I will basically, I even go to layers where we have unit tests, I have end-to-end tests, I have tons of things, I have staging environments. We'll do a manual smoke test on that and basically make sure everything goes through. And then I'll do a production push. But I don't do a production push every day. I have release trains where we basically do end of week or a set day that we would release. And that way there's a given emergency rollback plan that we can do immediately, that is predictable, that we know what's going to happen. And on top of that, I have things like redundancy layers. So Convex backups, basically in case the database ever got wiped for a second and we need to bring it back, like tons of stuff like this, right? CodeRabbit is a good one as well, by the way. So you can actually use CodeRabbit as well to automatically kick off AI reviews. I have my own agent team could do it automatically based on when a webhook hits, right? Now for this, wire generation into admin and seed, cool, UI similar products, run and backfill. Let's go ahead and do this. So cost latency, AI first round trip, create product buttons, okay, not reactive, acceptable product pages, that's fine, fallback parts of embeddings, we fall back to same category products, that's cool. Okay, cool, let's do it, let's build that. So now I'm gonna build that in parallel. No, not in parallel, I'm gonna build that sequentially because I think it's important to showcase what is actually happening here so you guys can see what's going on. So, and also I don't want to get stuck in that long waiting to explain things. And while this happens, I'll answer the questions that you guys have, because I guarantee this is the ultimate moment. If I was watching, I'd be asking questions because it gets very confusing. Like if you don't know what a vector embedding is, right? So let me see. AI. Oh, dude, you keep on coming up with gems today. J Nate, that is a very good. That's a very, very good suggestion. I've done that before. I did that in the last build. AI vector embedding component. I think it's the AI agent component. Vector search. Embedding, no, Convex components. RAG enables to read retrieval augmented generation system, vector search and documents. This one. So Convex dev RAG. Building AI chatbots, Q&A, implementing multi-tenant RAG systems. Semantic search. See, surface relevant content based on user queries rather than exact keywords. It's very powerful. Building AI agents need to retrieve and synthesize information and so forth. So help me install the right component. And that's a good point. I'm gonna say, stop and briefly look at this. Is this better to use instead of our proposed solution? And then one way to do is I'm just gonna pop that in. So I'm actually gonna interrupt it. I'm gonna say, yeah, and let it do a quick comparison over that. Because that's a very good suggestion. Yeah, because it is a good component. We've used it before. And if we had a look at it, so opacity installation, add the context to rag. Look at this, rag.add namespace all users, pass in the text. Basically, it's gonna simplify the vector search part of what we're doing. Generate a response based on rag context. I'm not going to go over entirely rag and all of that stuff, but basically there's tons of videos on it. But it's going to allow us to do what I talked about before, that vector embedding, matching, searching, a lot easier. Automatically handles chunking and embedding your text documents. See, very nice. Exposes methods. And by the way, this is how Netflix does it, right? So Netflix, when they say things you might like, right? It's basically vector embeddings under the hood. For feature by feature implementation, when you told us to use Worktrees, but then you create a API, you get the code from it, right? How do you overcome that? So yeah, if you, like right now, we did everything in a single, it had like an orchestrator pattern. So we effectively had one massive PR, which is not good. I think it's quite a bad thing, but if you were to do it feature by feature in separate Worktrees, you can get your agents to resolve the conflicts and handle it. Because remember, they're building in isolated Worktrees, so they're not going to ever clash. They're going to clash when it comes to merge. And when it merges, as long as you inform like if you find that they keep making the same mistake, all you need to do is update your Claude MD and agents MD file and say, okay, take the entire context of the current code base that you're trying to merge into, plus the context and reasoning as to what your feature you're trying to add in, which is why linear tickets are so good, because you get like a higher level of context input, and then it will be able to figure out, and trust me, it's great at doing this if you use a good enough model. It knows that, okay, Sunny's trying to add this feature, this is what was currently here, there's a merge here, okay, he's trying to add this in, so we need to obviously prioritize this over that. But still, I do the code review, scalability checks, all of that stuff every time. Convex has been built for document retrieval, chunking long text. We need something much simpler, one embedding per row. Find k nearest rows, render but no chunking, concrete mismatches. Yeah, so okay, really good if you want to go complex. Right now, we just effectively need AI similar products, right? Source embedding direct in the parts row, single source of truth, reuses or returns product IDs, added 20 lines of code. It's better fit. Okay. Yes, use yours. Right. If we want to get really into it, then we can obviously go ahead and you can switch to a full rag and everything like that. But I think the main thing is that you guys see examples of like, you can do both, right? So if you really want to go deep into it and you're using Convex as a backend, use that. Very good solution. We done it in a previous build. If you're interested, go check out that build. Phonics says, or Funkis, sorry, says, vector embedding sounded like sci-fi to me at first, but the more I heard about them, not from courses, the more they made sense. Just keep exploring and listening, else you have the courseway. 100%. When I first touched vector embeddings, it was like way over the head kind of territory. I didn't know what was going on, to be honest with it. And then honestly, just calm down, read, and you can use AI to teach you as well. And now you'll understand it in 5 minutes. Very, very simple stuff, right? Once you understand what is going on. You don't need to know as well the meaning behind the numbers. You just need to know that effectively what the numbers represent, right? OpenAI key isn't set in Convex. I need your key. I'll flag this at the end. So we're going to need an OpenAI key, by the way. So what we can do here is, and again, it seems like it can't do the Stripe project catalog. Okay, so nice. Well, same end result is fine. So I'm going to go to OpenAI. So platform.openai.com, log in to my account. So I'm just going to quickly log into my account, generate a key, and then I'm going to keep that key private. So that key I'm not going to show on screen because that key is billable. And obviously I don't want to show that. So I'm inside my dashboard right now. I go to the sidebar and I'm in API keys. I've got different projects. I'm making sure I don't show the one that I don't want to show. And then here is, for example, how it looks. So inside the API keys, I go to create new secret key. I'm going to call this one Papa Mart. And then we're going to go ahead and create a secret key. Now I'm going to hide the screen and then I'm going to save that key. So obviously get your own key, right? Get your key that is billable, of course, right? So once you've done that, now I have my key and then we can go into our code again. So now I need to verify the exact API. Version 3 we just installed. STK6. We just installed. Make sure it's the latest version. Right. I'm just going to interrupt it there. Isn't setting Convex yet. So while that's doing that now, we can actually set this manually. We can just help it out. Go over here, go to settings, go to environment variables, go to add. And then we can basically paste in the key here. And the actual thing that we need here is OpenAI API key. So I'm going to paste in OpenAI API key. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste in my previous key that I copied. So I've saved it now. And you can see I now have the OpenAI key, right? So that will now work when we come to do what we need to do next. Okay. And then once this is done, we're pretty much wrapping up on the build. So tons of stuff that's going to happen there, right? And this, in my opinion, is a cool way of adding AI to an app, not just adding a chatbot for the sake of adding a chatbot, but like the similar features. If you can understand that as a layer one, not only are we building with AI, but then you're enhancing your app and your user experience with AI as well, right? So there's another component that I love called AI agent. It works very well. I think it was that AI agent one that we used in the previous build, the one that you're referring to. So Convex AI agent. I believe it was this one that you're talking about. So this one here, agents organize your AI workflows into units with message history and vector search built in. The AI agent can provide a structured framework for agentic workflows, persistent message threads, all my conversation content, and vector search capabilities. So we did this in the Twitter clone, I think. I think we did this in that clone. But yeah, we installed it, and honestly, I just gave it this page and it installed everything itself. And again, if you want to know, you can either download the skill, the 4 agents file, right? So we just copy this, and basically it'll teach you how to do everything. Retrieve the install command, generate the exact setup list any required. Environment variables, provide verification steps. Super easy. And look, 60,000 devs or downloads a week, right? So a lot of people like this stuff. If we look at the directory while we're waiting for our app to do its thing, so where is it? API confirmed is preferred non-deprecated method. There we go. Okay, cool. So while that's happening, we've got postdoc, AI agent, agent mail. Let's have a look. Resend, work pool. I believe they even had a clerk one. If they did, I've already connected with clerk with the integration. They have a first class integration. These are some cool ones that I would mention as well. Rate limiter, really nice, right? This one's awesome. Action cache is very good as well. If you have any kind of HTTP or action that it's expensive to call over and over again, cache it, right? If you don't know about caching, maybe I'll make a video on caching because it's such a deep topic, but it's so good in production. Especially it allows you to scale really good. But it's a huge difference between a rookie and someone who knows what they're doing by implementing caching theirs, right? Debounce, that's interesting. I haven't actually done that one myself. Persistent text streaming, stream text like AI chat to the browser in real time, also efficiently storing it to the database. That's cool. Nano Banana, a few of these other ones. Presence is good. That's cool. So this one's quite nice actually. So if you ever have a chat room where you need to know if somebody is, inside the room or if they're online, Presence is very good for that. Collaborative text edit async, I've done this before. Migrations is huge, by the way, right? This one is literally huge. And also aggregate. So these two are massive. So I've done this a ton, migrations, but also, where is it? These two, I'd really recommend aggregate. Huge. I do this all the time, right? And it's really good for this. You need to just look at this. But basically, if you ever got like number of likes on a post, for example, we did this in the Twitter clone, aggregate functions all the way. I have tons of them in production, right? Sharded counter as well is another one. This is, probably, maybe you could argue between these two with the high throughput. Yeah, that's actually a good point. You could use sharded as well. Okay, work pools give critical tasks priority, organizing async operating in separate customizers. That's awesome. I haven't used that, but that's huge. Sunny, what do you think about TanStack framework and Next.js talk going on? And are we going to use it next build? It's a good question. TanStack. So TanStack, the thing with TanStack is I feel like everyone gets their definition different. So if I was to type in, for example, TanStack definition on the side, because it could be use query, could be caching, could be like a few things that we're talking about. But React query is what we mean when we talk about TanStack, right? Effectively, like I'm just popping out because I want to see what the paper definition is. So React query is the TanStack query side of things. React table, headless utilities, TanStack router, fully type safe router. I mean, all it is basically just things we've come to implement over time, generally anyway. So I would have done, for example, React query, right? So typically where you did use state and use query, and then basically you'd have to keep track of when it's loading and so forth. The natural evolvement was React query. And that basically was like allowed you to basically fetch it and cache it. And for a certain value, for a certain amount of time, if we make a call, whether there or in a separate component to the same backend, that's effectively going to be screams up. What's that? OpenAI API screams at, but I don't there and everything. I'm not sure what you mean. But basically, yeah, TanStack is I wouldn't go crazy over it. Like, put it this way, it's been a hype for ages. Have I changed anything? No, I just use what makes sense. Next.js has type safe routers. We have the React query side of things. You can implement that however you want. Like Convex has use query. So it's pretty easy to do it. And then obviously you can add in things like React query into it to cache things and so forth. They came up with the full framework. Yeah, I mean, would I change how I work now around it? No. But do I use parts of it? Yeah, I do. TanStack virtual, virtualization for rendering huge lists, screws efficiently. Yeah, so I do tend to implement parts of it, but would I go and build TanStack from the get-go? No. I use Next.js. Next.js has so many benefits, and then obviously I add in elements from TanStack. Looking at goals. Okay, so this should be done shortly. Run Convex npms. Embeddings backfill, all to embed the CDate catalog. So let's have a look. But I mean, the amount of OpenAI API you have gives the feeling. The amount of OpenAI API you have, it doesn't make sense given you want to. Oh, you mean the API keys? Oh, that's because imagine how many projects I built, whether it be in coaching calls, whether it be in YouTube live streams. Every single build I've done has a separate API key. And yeah, we use it a ton. Like, we use it internally, we use it in different places. So yeah, we use AI in pretty much a ton of stuff. Yeah, there's nothing bad about it. You should use that. If we go to products, we should see an embeddings. So embedding is all on set at the moment. I don't know if it ran. So let's see. Get a real product ID, list all products, list all product IDs. So soon we'll have embeddings set. Let's see. We should be doing it shortly. Directly run generate for product to see the error. So we've got an error here. Failed for 3 attempts. You exceeded your current quota. Oh, okay. The account has hit a billing quota. Oh God, okay. Maybe I have not changed that key. So let me double check that API key for a sec. So, okay, so I'm just going into my OpenAI, run your API running. Oh, wow, okay. Oh, really? I didn't realize I went through it. So add to credit balance, add $10. Okay, I know why it happened. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I need to update something. Oh, that's frustrating that happened on the stream. So I need to quickly refill my OpenAI credits for this in order to get past the little hurdle we're having. And then I can go ahead and do it. But in order to do that, I need to actually pay for it. So give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly get this down. So, and then in the meantime, feel free to ask any questions that you got so I can answer them as we come to an end, because we're almost there now. It's just that the final part we need to get through. So, okay. Trust that to happen during a stream. Okay, so we should be done in 1 second. So, because you create an API you want to store, somewhere else you should be having keys separately, by the way. I stopped using Next.js. I stopped using Next.js. I usually go for V, static route, and query and Convex. Yeah, JN8 is it's a good approach. That's exactly what I do. Same thing. Okay, so I think we're good now. Yeah, done. So I had to basically top up my credits. So now I have credit in my OpenAI. And we can go back to what we were doing. Okay. So we've done that now. So what we need to do is run this npx convex run embeddings backfill, and that will go through. And also, by the way, if you're wondering, embeddings are ridiculously cheap. Okay, so it doesn't cost a lot to run an embedding. So in this case, I'll show you quite nicely in the actual thing. So documents, builds, Papa Mart. Let's go here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the following. So we're going to run it. npx convex or pmpx convex run embeddings backfill all. What you'll see here, ignore that beginning bit, is it's going to go ahead and generate embeddings for everything. So schedule 20. So chances are it's basically done a little bit of a thing in the back. So I'll show you. Look, it's done it already. Look, embeddings, boom. And it probably scheduled them in batch. Right, so if we go to chromosomes now, and look at this, look, expire stale pending orders. I knew it would have done it. So every 300 seconds, it goes through the previous orders and it will expire them. That's actually pretty good, right? Here we have it. So we have our embeddings here. And just to show you what an embedding looks like, it's a huge amount of numbers, right? So these are those coordinates I was talking about. So with that in mind now, we should be able to go ahead and do it. So if we go ahead and check it out now, so let's go to our app and let's run everything. So pm dev. This is the work that we just previously did. So we're on 3000. Let's go check it out. So localhost. Okay. And then let's have on this side, I'm going to have over here, localhost 3000/admin. Okay. So on the admin, I'm logged into obviously an admin account. Let's see in the products. I believe we added the what's it called? The embeddings, but I don't think it was. Yeah, no, we didn't add it in there. Okay. So if we go into, for example, a cold brew coffee, okay, similar items to this. Look at that. That is sick. Okay, it works. Now, for example, if I go find rice, right? So rice, we should find somewhat similar items to rice. Right, so rice is found at CISO, tomatoes, like maybe because people maybe have like, I don't know, they're cooking with these things together, but this is typically similar items to this. Or maybe it will make more sense to have like, you might like this. But again, remember, two things. We're also one, where in, if I do milk, for example, then it'll typically find dairy things. Yeah, so that it found pretty much the dairy things. But yeah, the main thing is here, why is it not giving us like, how can we get these more accurate? So what you want to do is the metadata that it's using, chances are it's about this product. So we can actually talk to AI about that, and we can basically say, okay, which metadata did we use to generate the vector embedding? So in this case, we can do this a few ways. We can say, which data did we use to create the vector embeddings? And you'll see what I'm saying. So right now, that if that's all the data that we're using, you see how it's not much data, right? So in this case, look, we can have a look at the code. We can see here, look, item name, description, and category name, right? So look, sourdough, hand-shaped, slow fermented sourdough bread, a loaf, category baking. So it's using these three to go ahead and do it. And then obviously we've not included things like price and so forth. So right now it's found somewhat similar things, but of course, the more metadata you give it, the more it's going to be accurate in what it can do, right? So that's basically something to always remember with this. But overall, it's cool that we have it working, right? So just like that, we've in one build, in 3 hours and 38 minutes, we've gone ahead and created subscription billing. So we have memberships that are billing per person to avoid delivery costs and so forth. We've got full persistent checkout. We have full authentication flow. We have full Stripe. We have things like, persistence, like, saving things out, like your favorites and so forth. We have AI vector embeddings, and we have the full checkout flow with webhooks implemented inside throughout the whole thing. All right, so final check now. Say you bought orange juice and Greek yogurt, pay with Stripe. And then again here, the order summary, I could pass those images through and you would pretty much see the images come through here. That's a very quick, easy fix, by the way, to be able to do that. And then you do your payment flow. Let's do it one more time just to prove it all. And then let's do this. And also while I do this, I'm going to cue the ending song, the only way we know how to end this out. Where is it? I always struggle finding this on the playlist side of things. So here we are. Okay. So I don't need to actually put my name in. Yeah, there we go. And then we just pay. It's because I was doing the OpenAI billing. So in this case, it processes through, goes ahead and does it. Orders come through the back end. Boom. There you go. We can click on the order. 1954 orange juice Greek yogurt. The user can go ahead and check out their stuff as well. And bam, there you have it. Right? Absolutely huge, incredible build. Like that was a flawless build in my opinion. Right? Like that was one of the cleanest builds we've ever done in terms of like end-to-end agentic flow stuff. And I think there was so many gems that went through that build, whether it be setting up your AI workflow, how we can use the new multitask flow, the plan, everything along that side. And to make it even better, I'm actually pushing this literally on stream right now with the final changes, right? So I'm just gonna say AI vector embeddings, right? You guys can feel free to, you know what what I'm talking about if you guys have done this, all right? All I ask that you do to go ahead and get this for entirely free is use that first link in the description when you're signing up for Clerk. That is it, guys. Because remember, Clerk powered the entire thing, the billing for the recurring payments, the authentication, everything happened through Clerk. And you saw how easy it was, especially using the Stripe Clerk CLI, right? Pair that with the projects, Stripe Project CLI, and it's absolutely incredible, right? So there you have it, guys. Full build. You guys have the entire source code as well. And like I said before, if you are interested, make sure you want to go ahead and join our community that we're going to open the doors to very soon. Right? I can see chat going off between two people. It's all positive chat anyway. But yeah, make sure you go ahead and sign up to our community down below. And we'll open the doors very shortly for basically we're going to do it in a cohort-based way. So that way we can ensure the quality is really, really high inside of it. Last moment, top rank. I'm not sure what he means by top rank. I'm just reading the last bits of comments. But yeah, cool, guys. Make sure, like I said, check out that link in the description. And if you want the GitHub repo, it is in, let me see if I can quickly grab it before we sign out. The GitHub repo, if you're watching later on, is here. github.com/Sanger/Papa Mart. So go ahead, feel free, grab it, check it for yourself. And someone else drop it in a comment down below so someone else can find it. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a ton. Well, water. But as always, guys, I'll see you in the next build. Peace.